Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary-Kate Wheeldon.
I can't believe it! And he takes the opportunity with both hands. What a moment! Pandemonium in the away end.
Good evening and welcome to BBC Radio Shropshire. And football returns early this summer. It may only have been a month since Manchester City lifted the Champions League trophy, but the competition is back. The new Saints of Gothenburg are in the qualifying matches for their first ever Champions League. Your commentary team are Scott Harris and Nick Southall.
Well, welcome to Sweden's second largest city, Gothenburg, a vibrant city here on the southwest coast of Sweden, which is the largest seaport in Scandinavia. The river which splits the city in half is the gateway to the country for passenger ferries and enormous cargo ships. But it's also known for its Dutch-like canals and leafy boulevards. Unfortunately, it's been raining all day, torrential rain and thunderstorms, so we haven't seen the more cultural part of Gothenburg. But I'm glad to say the sun is finally out for tonight's game. We've arrived here at the Bravida Arena, the home of the Swedish champions, BK Häcken, for tonight's Champions League qualifier. With the team news, here's Scott Harris.
Yeah, no surprises for TNS, who have only Adam Wilson out injured. They are otherwise at full strength for Craig Harrison, who returns in Europe after 6 years away. Connor Roberts in goal then for TNS, a back three of Josh Pask, Ryan Astles and Danny Davis. Josh Daniels will be an effective right wing back tonight, with Chris Marriott on the left side. Three in midfield with Leo Smith, Dan Williams and Danny Redmond. Jordan Williams will be up top with Declan McManus. The headline team news for the hosts, BK Häcken, their star striker Benny Traore is not in the squad. We have suspicions he's on his way to Sheffield United. He's been given permission to travel to finalise a deal to the Premier League.
TNS manager Craig Harrison says his side will have to be at their best in the game in which they'll be the underdogs.
You know, some big clubs and some very good teams in that league, and they've obviously had a very good season last season and deservedly won it. I had the opportunity to watch a lot of their games and watch them live on Saturday, and they are a very good team.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary-Kate Wheeldon.
Well, good evening. We're bringing you all the build-up to tonight's Champions League game of BK Häcken versus the New Saints. This is the New Saints' 23rd consecutive year competing in European football, while it's their opponents, BK Häcken, who make their debut in the competition. We've heard the TNS team news, but there's a lot of focus on one Häcken player in particular, and that's Benny Traore, who we just heard Scott mention. He may soon become a bit more of a household name here in England, but he's attracted likes of interest from Rangers and Sheffield United. Scott, we just heard there, he's not in the team. That's got to be a massive positive for TNS, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a big boost, isn't it? I mean, his record is pretty good. Of course, in Sweden, playing a summer season, so they are right in the thick of it. And, well, it's a good shop window, isn't it, if you want a lucrative move to England, to the Premier League. Our understanding is that he is heading to Sheffield United. There were a few other parties interested up in Scotland. The old firm of Rangers and Celtic, they look set to miss out. Our sources say that, well, he prefers Paul Heckingbottom's side and a stay in England in the Premier League. So our Swedish sources reported that he'd been given clearance to travel to England. So we either expected him to, well, we didn't expect him to be here after we found that out. We expected him to be on his way to the airport. He missed the 2-1 win at AIK on Saturday due to family reasons. That was the formal line that we were given. But reading between the lines, it looks as if a deal is set to be done ASAP.
We're looking at the New Saints. Are there any surprises in that team?
I think there'll be a few players disappointed, the likes of John Routledge, Ryan Brobble, Adrian Sislovic. I don't think they'll mind if I say that they have been on many a European tour. Blaine Hudson as well. They will be disappointed not to be in the starting 11, but no real surprises. No, as I mentioned, Adam Wilson, the only casualty. He picked up an injury in pre-season. It was, well, quite an unfortunate injury as well in training. Just, just out of the blue, really. So he'll be also bitterly disappointed to not play any part in this European adventure yet. And we do mention that it is a European adventure because even if TNS lose this Champions League tie, they will drip feed down into the other European competitions. So it's going to be, hopefully, for TNS, a good 5, 6, maybe 7 weeks of qualification to that all-elusive group stage of whatever competition that may be. And I think, having spoken to Craig Harrison yesterday, the realistic aim for the club is that Conference League group stage spot. The Champions League, as we'll mention, is probably out of reach for many clubs. Many big name clubs in big name countries who just can't get their sides into that group stage of the Champions League. It is a bit of a closed shop for qualification. So yes, no real surprises with the TNS lineup, and I think Craig Harrison, as we overheard the press chaps in front of us from the club, they said, well, Craig asked if they could park the bus here in front of the goal tonight.
Well, we've heard who the threat could have been for Häcken. For TNS, who's that going to be? You've got Declan McManus, who scored 29 goals last season. The season's not long finished. 29 goals in 25 league games last season. He's a Welsh player of the season. If it's going to come for TNS tonight, do you think that's who it's going to come from?
Well, you'd like to think so. It's a big responsibility, isn't it, for Declan? But his record speaks for itself. Last season, I think there were comparisons made with Haaland in terms of his goal ratio, and I think that's quite a good compliment, isn't it, to be compared to the likes of Haaland. But yeah, Declan, he'll be champing at the bit really to get involved in this tie, but it's very difficult, Mary-Kate, isn't it, because of you look at the gulf in difference between the Swedish league and the Welsh league, and you just feel that is quite a big gulf, quite a big difference between the two. You've got the Welsh system that's ranked 50th out of the 55 European nations, and the Swedish league is 23rd. So that is quite a big difference between the two. So between those two systems, you would think that TNS are going to have it really tough here this evening. And you also look at the likes of, well, the Swedish league. You've got the likes of Gothenburg, Stockholm, Malmo, who are regulars, well, have been regulars in this UEFA Champions League competition. They're not in it. And Elfsborg. So there's some good teams in the Swedish league. And, well, Häcken are playing the strongest brand of football in Sweden at the moment. They are playing attacking football. And no doubt it's been the toughest draw for TNS. And they are probably expected to get beat here.
When I spoke to Declan McManus last week, we were talking about VAR, because they've got VAR tonight and they'll have it in the home leg as well next Tuesday. It's his first time playing with VAR. Have either of you had any VAR experience before? Is this going to be a new thing?
Well, we'll bring in Nick Southall at this point. For me, it's new. I've never had a monitor in my commentary position. Nick?
Yeah, you don't normally get that at Bradford Park Avenue with one man and his dog there. So it's going to be a new experience for us here, Mary-Kate. Normally we have to call it as we see it, and that's always the hardest way, but we can cheat a bit tonight and have a look at the TV monitor. The thing is, we're probably so used to being without a monitor that we probably won't use it.
We'll probably forget it's here, but yeah, it's to our left-hand side in our commentary box, and it is a commentary box here inside the stadium. We've got a window that we've had to open to get all our effects microphones out, but we are indoors, and we've got quite a good view of the pitch here.
Sounds like you're enjoying yourselves out there. Well, let's see if they will need VAR tonight. We'll find out very, very shortly. Kickoff is less than 20 minutes away now as TNS prepare to get their European campaign underway. Their opponents, BK Häcken, won their first Swedish Premier League title last season, beating the likes of European regulars like Malmo and Helsingborg. They're not one of the big names in Swedish football, but they're certainly one of the most progressive clubs. It's the hardest tie they could have got, says Craig Harrison, their manager.
They've obviously had a very good season last season, and deservedly won it. I had the opportunity to watch a lot of their games and watch them live on Saturday, and they are a very good team.
What kind of football do they play?
Yeah, attacking football. They play a lot of attacking football. You know, they've got they're very quick on the counter attack. They've got fast forward players, very technical, want to try and play. But one thing I will say is watching them is they're devastating on the counter attack with the pace and the directness they've got. So we'll obviously have to be aware of, you know, almost in transition, you know, getting our distances right and getting our defensive shape right, and then, you know, see what happens.
You are experienced in Europe with the New Saints. This is your second spell. What do you learn from those past experiences taking it into this campaign?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think nothing goes how you like to plan it. So you've got to make sure you're ready on the sideline to make adjustments and see things early. And you know, and we've all got game plans. Yes, of course we have. We've gone into great detail, no stone unturned. Instead of watch a lot of these games and managed to get live to them. Christian Sargent and the staff have done loads and loads of match analysis on them. You know, so we'll be aware. But you know, as I think is the boxing term goes, you know, everyone's got a plan until you get punched on the nose, and we'll only really feel it when it kicks off, and we'll just, from myself right through the staff, will have to be on our sharpest games to maybe counter-attack some tactical awareness and etc. for them, because they've got a very experienced manager. You look at it and you know he's very experienced. You know, there's a lot of clubs and Norwegian national manager, so I've got personally a lot of respect for him, and we've got a lot of respect for them. So we know it's going to be tough on the pitch and off the pitch, pitting your wits against very experienced coaches.
That's the New Saints manager Craig Harrison speaking to Nick Southall, who's part of your commentary team this evening. That was last night at training at the ground. Nick, you were there last night. Is this a big night for Craig Harrison and his side?
It is, but it's nothing new to Craig Harrison, back in his second spell with the New Saints, and we've been lucky to follow their progress in Europe over the last decade or so. And you know, they've had some big nights. When you look back at Apoel Nicosia, they were level with the champions of Cyprus going into the 53rd minute when they conceded in the second leg away in Cyprus. A boiling hot night there. And there have been other experiences as well. Slovan Bratislava, where me and Scott went to watch the New Saints. They've come close many times before, but haven't quite been able to go that one step further. And the thing really, Mary-Kate, that he made clear last night was that this is still a project for them, that over the next 5 years they want to get to the stage of actually reaching a group stage in Europe. Now they know that reaching the UEFA Champions League group stage is probably not realistic. You've got to have the luck of the draw. But with the way this system works with UEFA, even if they lose tonight, they can go into the Europa League. They have a backup of the Europa Conference League, and that's what is really appealing to some of the smaller clubs in this competition, that it gives them a much greater chance of reaching the group stages. So yeah, there will be some nerves, there will be some pressure, but also there will be on BK Häcken, because they won the Swedish Championship for the first time last year, which is a big surprise, because if you look at recent past, it's been Malmo. They've been regulars in Europe. So for Häcken to win the league as they did, this is the first time that they've qualified for the Champions League qualifiers. They have played in European competitions before, in the UEFA Cup and those kind of competitions, but the first time to try and get in the Champions League. So it's a sellout crowd here this evening. After all the rain, all the storms we've had here in Gothenburg, the sun is shining brightly and we finally see some blue skies.
I mean this in the best way possible, thinking that there may be less pressure on TNS. And I don't mean to use the term free hit, because I know they'll be taking this just as seriously. But from what we've heard, they aren't expected to go out and win this. So whatever result they get, and they've said a lot, Craig Harrison and Mike Harris himself have said, whatever result they can get tonight, they want to still be in the game when they bring it back to the home leg next week.
Yeah, that's right. You know, this is the hardest tie that they could have been given. It's a real quirk of the draw, Mary Kate, because actually the New Saints are the seeded team in this tie. So Häcken are unseeded, and that really should have given TNS an advantage to play a smaller club. But in fact, for some reason, the Swedish coefficient has plummeted, and that's why the New Saints are ranked as the higher team in this instance. But we know that that's not right. We know that the Allsvenskan, the Swedish league, is very competitive. So, all the pressure will be on the home team. But Craig Harrison really feels that they can get something here. He thinks that they can score because they've identified a weakness with the two centre-halves for BK Häcken with Ivan Hovland and Simon Sandberg. He thinks that they're lacking a bit of pace, so that's where TNS could hurt them on the counter-attack. But they know that they've got some very good players up front. They can really be ruthless, Häcken can. But as you know, Scott was saying, there is no Benny Traore. And in fact, I had a message from Craig Harrison about an hour ago asking me if we had any inside information whether Traore was in the squad or not. Well, we weren't privileged to any kind of information, but it shows you that they were thinking about whether Traore would play. He's regarded as one of the most promising young strikers in Europe, and the fact that he's not available tonight will be a major boost for the New Saints.
Well, you can hear the atmosphere is building already. We know you've said it's a sellout, and this is their first experience of European football. But their season is well underway now. I think they've played 15 games. They're third in the league. Is that going to be an advantage to them? Well, I know TNS have had pre-match games. They've been to Ireland, Scotland, but you can't kind of replicate that kind of match experience of being in the league. Will that be a big advantage for Häcken?
Yeah, it is. I'll bring in Scott Harris here, but they come into this fairly cold TNS. You can have all the friendlies you like, but it doesn't replicate the pressure that you're under in a match situation. But Häcken, they're behind. I think Malmo are second. Elfsborg lead the Allsvenskan. So they are well into their season, well versed, been playing regular games as well. And Scott, it's really tricky, but this is a constant issue that the New Saints, we've been talking about this for the last 15 years or so. Regarding whether the Welsh Premier or the Cymru Premier should go to a summer league.
Well, you're right, and I think when you draw aside from Northern Europe, there is that age-old argument of whether it's a handicap coming into these big games before the Cymru League season has started. Effectively, it's still pre-season for TNS, so can you carry as big a punch than if these games are in the middle of their season? You could argue against that, of course, but Scandinavian, Baltic and Irish clubs with the league season from spring through summer, well, the Irish clubs have done well over the past few seasons in getting to group stages, so TNS should be doing so too. Häcken, as we mentioned, mid-season, they're playing week in, week out and have been. Are they capable to strike hotter? You'd say yes, and I think the bookies would back those comments as well. And you just look at the Swedish league with the likes of Malmo, who have been in the Champions League group stages, I think, in 3 of the past 7 seasons. So it's a strong league, and I think for Häcken to not only win the league, but have this opportunity to be in the Champions League for what is the first time for them, just outlines just how difficult it is to win the Swedish league. So going back to that argument, are Häcken going to strike hotter? Yes, I think they are. Should TNS and should the FAW be thinking about a fully professional league that runs through spring and summer into the autumn? I would say yes. I think it would give them a better chance to go further in these European competitions. So I think it probably does give Häcken an advantage. They've already got a big advantage anyway with the setup. We'll have to wait and see. But it is more difficult on paper than the tie last year. Nick mentioned the draw and how that's been very unkind to them. Last year, that at this stage, TNS played Linfield and lost narrowly, and perhaps should have won that over the two legs. But it's going to be very difficult. Even, I think, the ultimate optimist probably can't see a TNS win over 2 legs, even if they could perhaps not get pushed off the park tonight.
Thank you, Scott. We'll be back with your commentary team very, very shortly. It's about 8 minutes now till kickoff. So kickoff coming up very shortly at 6 o'clock. Now, we've already heard from the new Saints manager, Craig Harrison, but let's learn a little bit more about their opponents. Nick Southall has spent much of today with some Häcken fans.
My name's Samuel Lang and I am the SLO, the Supporter Liaison Officer for BK Häcken. Malmö, of course, is the big team in Allsvenskan, which is puts a mark on the potential of a club. If you can beat them regularly or in a well-played way, that shows that your team is something to be reckoned with.
What kind of crowd are we looking at? How many thousand? About 4 or 5?
4,500 since we are sold out, so 4,500 we're looking at. Very important day for the club's history. I think almost everyone that's coming today are really stoked about it and looking forward to it.
Wow, it's brilliant in here.
So this is
where you do all your work.
Yeah, so this is a sort of a multi-purpose location where we have supporter councils when we need to discuss different questions concerning the supportership. But also we do like flag workshops with kids and young adults. So that's what's going on right now here on the floor. But we also have like a shop where we can sell merchandise to sort of fund the supportership.
My name is Johannes Jensen and I'm chairman of the supporter club Getingarna, which in English is the Wasps.
So Johannes, how long have you been a supporter?
Yeah, I've been a supporter since the mid-aughts sometime. When I moved here in 2005, I started supporting and then started to go to games a few years later.
There's a big rivalry here in Gothenburg, isn't there? 4 clubs. Who would you say is the biggest rival for you?
Last 5 years, we've been a force to reckon with. It couldn't happen if IFK had been on their top, because they have been a very dominant side, very dominant in Gothenburg still, but now they are not where they should be, or we want them there, but they don't want to be where they are right now in relegation.
BK Häcken fan Samuel Lang and Johannes Jensen with BBC Radio Shropshire's Nick Southall out and about in Gothenburg earlier today. Well, the atmosphere is definitely building. It's a sold out ground, over 4,000 people there. Sounds like there's plenty of buzz around the city, and I can hear it in the ground as well. Nick and Scott, it sounds like that atmosphere is really ramping up.
It is. They've just rolled out the players' tunnel away to our right-hand side, so we're expecting the 2 teams very shortly. And the Häcken fans around us, this is a ritual, a routine that they go through. They're all holding up their scarves above their heads, these yellow and black scarves. And it's a lovely scene to witness, really. It's an emotional night, an historic night for BK Häcken, because it's the first time they've reached the UEFA Champions League qualifiers, and this game being shown live on Swedish national television as well. So yeah, lots of people watching this game. Away to our left is the ultra supporters. They're waving their flags, and that's where most of the noise is coming from. But it's like when you go to Anfield, Mary Kate, when you hear "You'll Never Walk Alone," and it's that kind of feeling. The supporters are all on their feet, singing as one and holding their scarves up high.
Well, can I just finally, if you can still hear me, push you for a quick prediction?
Quick prediction, I'll say on behalf of both of us, it's going to be a tough night. It could well be 1-1. I think the New Saints really feel that they can get something from this match, and let's hope so.
Well, the New Saints will definitely take a 1-1 draw. We'll be back with those very shortly. Don't go anywhere. We've got commentary of BK Häcken and the New Saints coming up next.
BBC Radio Shropshire Sports.
Well, Well, welcome to Sweden's second largest city, Gothenburg, a vibrant city on the southwest coast, which is the largest seaport here in Scandinavia. The river which splits the city in half is the gateway to the country for passenger ferries and enormous cargo ships. And this is a city which has 4 main clubs, all competing in the Allsvenskan League. And most recently, it's been IFK Gothenburg who've had all the headlines. Well, times are changing here in Gothenburg because BK Häcken, for the first time, wants the Swedish top flight, making them the Swedish champions. And now, an historic night for them, their first ever UEFA Champions League qualifier. For the New Saints, well, this is not alien territory for them. This is the 23rd consecutive year that they've qualified to get into the European qualifiers, and they've had some mixed success in the past. They reached the playoffs of the Europa League when they lost out to CSKA Sofia back in 2010, but they've had some near misses as well, taking the Dayton, the Hungarian champions, to extra time in Székesfehérvár near Budapest, and also, as we spoke about earlier, Apoel Nicosia, where it looked like for a long time that was going to head to extra time as well. This is a very strong squad that Craig Harrison has assembled, and he'll be hoping that they can get a goal here this evening. They feel that they can cause an upset here against the Swedish champions. And it's a real quirk of a draw that TNS have been drawn, even though they are a seeded team, drawn against such a good team as in BK Häcken. In previous years, it would have been Malmo, regulars in Europe, or Helsingborg in those halcyon days of Henrik Larsson back in the 1990s. But it's Häcken against the New Saints, live here on BBC Radio Shropshire on 96 FM. We're also live on the BBC Sport website and BBC Radio Wales online as well. Well, the referee is Henrik Nalbandian, and he's just waiting for the seconds to tick by. As the music has been ramped up once again, the supporters have been standing on their feet as one, holding their yellow and black scarves above their heads and singing the club song. And this first qualifying round of the UEFA Champions League is about to get underway. Here we go. We're off and running. The New Saints kicking from our right to left, and cheers ringing around this stadium. TNS playing in green and white striped tops, white shorts and white socks. And the Wasps, as they're known, BK Häcken, playing in yellow and black striped tops, black shorts and black socks. As the home team have the ball deep inside their own half, and it's played out to Hovland, who brings the ball over the halfway line. Still spectators taking to their seats. It's a sellout here this evening at the Bravida Arena. We can see through the opposite stand the iconic Gothenburg blue trams still arriving at the platform, and streams of supporters making their way into this concrete stadium as the home team enjoy a spell of possession over on the left-hand side. It's with Tobias Sana, the former Ajax and Malmo winger. And now back into the centre circle. A patient build-up here from Häcken, Scott Harris.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a very quick surface, and perhaps that's one thing that might just work into TNS's favour, that they're used to this surface at Park Hall. So, but you mentioned the Swedish league, Nick, and it certainly doesn't match the coefficient. It's a strong league, and TNS are going to have their work cut out tonight, because Häcken, they have an express pace down the wings.
Yeah, the big news though, breaking here today, is that there's no Benny Traore. Now get used to that name. You'll be watching him on Match of the Day, because we're led to believe from sources here in Sweden that he's making a move to the Premier League with Sheffield United, and in fact we believe he's getting on a flight there today, hence why he's not playing tonight here in Gothenburg. as the home team still have the ball and switch it from left to right to the experienced Mikael Rijgaard, one of two Danes playing in this side, and they work the ball to a dead ball line. Pressure mounting already here on the New Saints, who've got their second touch of the ball, and it's kicked clear towards Deck McManus on the halfway line. We've had 2.5 minutes gone, no goals in this UEFA Champions League game so far. The TNS team is Connor Roberts in goal, the defence of Daniel Davis at left back, Chris Marius at right back. A mistake there, but Connor Roberts comes out of his area to kick the ball clear, and the New Saints look to attack down their right. The two centre-backs for Craig Harrison's team are Josh Pask and Ryan Astles. Then in midfield, well, they flood the midfield. They'd park the bus as well if they could, but they're not allowed to. Jordan Williams on the right, Josh Daniels, the former Shrewsbury man, on the left. In the centre, Leo Smith and Danny Redmond. Then Daniel Williams just in behind Deck McManus, the lone striker who scored 25 goals in 29 games in the Cymru Premier last season. The strong team named by Craig Harrison, and they are already having to do a lot of defending here, Scott.
As expected, I think the shape of the New Saints will perhaps, hopefully, work in their favour, because in the past, when they have had that flat 4-5-1 and you've had that lone striker, when you are deep inside your own half for large parts of the game, it's very difficult for that lone striker to get involved. It's almost like as if you're playing with 10 men. So I think having that colleague just in behind, having Williams there, will be some comfort to McManus, and if they can thread together some passes, if they even get the ball in this first half, that will be a good thing.
The blonde-headed Rijgaard passing the ball down the line, but it's well won by Chris Marriott, and it'll be a free kick for the New Saints, who are away to our right, kicking from right to left here at the Bravida Arena. Lots of noise being made here, lots of noise being made in Gothenburg tonight as well, because Coldplay are in the city, and it's packed. It's a vibrant city anyway, but so many people turning up at the hotel earlier, ready to go and watch Coldplay in action here in Gothenburg tonight. So getting a taxi home could be very difficult. That's something that we've got to negotiate a bit later on. Now here's the ball in the centre circle, and the New Saints finally get some time on the ball. Pressure though on Josh Pask, and he'll allow the ball to go out to play. They'll have a throw just behind the halfway line. So the BK Häcken team, they're managed by Pierre Matthias Hogmer. He was the former Norway manager, had real success with Norway. As a club manager as well, had real success with Rosenborg, and managed to get them into the Champions League group stages back in 2005, when they were in the same group as Arsenal, and also Panathinaikos as well, and PSV Eindhoven. They came bottom in that group, but it was a real success for Rosenborg. But their team is Peter Abrahamsson in goal, Fredriksson at right back, Lund at left back, Hovland and Sandberg, the two centre halves. Then we have the twin brothers, the Gustafsson brothers, and they're playing in midfield. Rijgaard to their right, then the forward Sadiq on the right, Sana, the former Ajax winger, on the left, and then Tripsevsky in the centre, the North Macedonian. It would normally be Benim Traore, but a big miss, isn't it, for the home team to lose somebody who's regarded as one of the most promising young strikers in Europe.
Well, it will be, undoubtedly, but you look at the squad list for Häcken, and I mean, they've got strength in depth in all areas, and you've got Tripsevsky, who's come in, a 20-year-old North Macedonian, Häcken youth player, very talented, so they do have strength in depth, so they might miss him, but they might not miss him too much.
Here come Häcken attacking down the right. The cross is overhit by Sadiq, kept in play on the far side though. Here's Simon Gustafsson, another chance for Sadiq, and his ball into the near post, cleared and scores for the second time of asking, and it's Ibrahim Sadiq, the Ghanaian who's come through the club's academy And his first effort was blocked, it came back out, and then the second one at the near post, and he scores. 7 minutes on the clock. A terrible start for the New Saints.
Well, it was a good finish, wasn't it, from an acute angle, second attempt, and it's into that left corner of the net as we see it on that right-hand side, and you look at the watch and, well, 7 minutes gone and TNS fall behind, and, well, they needed a bit of confidence coming into this tie, and you just feel that may have just evaporated. I think the question now is for TNS, how organised can they keep that back line? The concentration required now goes up several notches in games like this, and well, there won't be a bigger test than this tonight for some of these TNS players.
Well, yeah, they're stepping up to the plate as well, the likes of Ibrahim Sadiq, a young player. We know from speaking to supporters earlier in the day that they have academies in Ghana, and that's where Sadiq has come from, and he's scored a very important goal, the first one for Häcken in a UEFA Champions League qualifier. So the Swedish champions lead here, and they've dominated possession so far. 8 minutes gone here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Nick Southall and Scott Harris live here in Gothenburg. We're also on the BBC Sport website as well. Lots of listeners from BBC Radio Wales joining us. Another opportunity for them. And the shot is saved by Connor Roberts. And the chance presented itself to Filip Trybszewski. And again, a big hole in that TNS defence, and they need to try and settle down here. They can ill afford to go 2-0 down so early.
Well, yeah, TNS were just carved open there, and it fell to Sana. It was like a knife through butter into the penalty area. He laid the ball back, and, well, Connor Roberts did ever so well to get down low to block the shot. Otherwise, it could have quite easily been 2-0 here.
Well, there's real pressure already on Craig Harrison's side. They are 1-0 down here against BK Häcken. Ibrahim Sadiq scoring. Roberts beaten at his near post. We'll get Scott Harris's thoughts on whether the keeper could have done more with that, but the New Saints desperately try and get out of their own half. They've been pinned inside here, and they kick it clear, but it goes out to play for a throw to BK Häcken. They switch it out to his right-hand side with Mikael Rygaard. He's got Sadiq in front of him. It's a good ball into Sadiq. And he nearly found Trybszewski making a run at the near post, but that was good handling from Connor Roberts inside his 6-yard box. What did you make of the goal, though, Scott? Could he have done any more?
Well, I think that the relief of the initial save, I believe it was, and just couldn't get to that first ball rebound, and all of a sudden the ball was coming back through into the corner of the net, and there wasn't much that he could have done to stop the goal. But I think you'd perhaps lose a split second or two when the nerves are jangling. You make a good initial save, don't clear the ball, and all of a sudden you've got work to do again. And maybe the occasion, it's a busy atmosphere here inside the stadium.
A good interception there in midfield for the New Saints, and now they have a chance to break down the right. Lovely sunny evening here in Sweden. It's been horrible grey day with torrential rain this morning, thunderstorms last night. It seems to have cleared its way through on the southwest coast here of Sweden. Here's Chris Marriott in front of our commentary box position. We're midway inside the Häcken half as we look at it. And our ultra supporters who are waving the large black, white and yellow flags are making all the noise away to our left. It's a sellout crowd here tonight as they find Sadiq again. He's the goal scorer and looks to play the ball into the far post. That was a good run by Tobias Sana. TNS get it clear this time. 11 minutes gone. They trail by 1-0. And it's been 100 mile an hour at the moment. The New Saints don't really know what's hit them so far, and what they've got to deal with straight away is Ibrahim Sadiq. He's already done some damage, Scott, but he looks like he could do some more. He's getting into some good areas in those wide right positions.
Yeah, he's very good on that right side, and TNS with lots of questions to answer on that right side, and you've got the likes of Daniels and Davis who are just struggling to keep hold of Sadiq, the 23-year-old Ghanaian. is the Ghanaian under-20. 2 goals from 4 appearances so far this season, so already a handful in the Swedish league. And as we keep mentioning, this Swedish league very, very strong. And well, for Häcken to be riding high, it just proves how difficult of a task this is going to be for TNS over 2 nights.
Here's Fredriksson, the right back, plays the ball along the halfway line, out to the left. Here's Evan Hovland. A good layoff by Sana, and a touch and a second goal! And it's Mikael Rygaard, the Dane, who scored. It was a simple ball in from the left, and there was Rygaard, well placed, 8 yards away from goal, and nothing Connor Roberts could do. The worst start possible here in Sweden for the New Saints. 12 minutes gone, and they are already 2-0 down.
Well, Rijkaard goes from creator of goals to finding the back of the net himself, and well, 12 minutes got in the 13th minute, and it's a dream start for the hosts. And TNS with some serious problems on those overlaps on both sides of the pitch, on the left and the right side. It's just far too easy. We were talking about Sadiq on that right side, but this time they were just turned over on the left side of the pitch. The ball came in far too easily, and well, the likes of Pask and Astles, that back line tonight, just not able to compete with Häcken.
Well, Craig Harrison, the head coach of the New Saints, speaking with his assistant Chris Sargent, and already they've got to do probably some major surgery here to try and prevent further goals from going in, because already a commanding lead for BK Häcken. 2-0 they lead, nearly 14 minutes gone here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We're also online as well through the BBC Sport website. If you search for the live football pages, you'll find our commentary there. We'll keep you up to date with any other scores in Europe tonight as well, but this is a terrible start. This is very unlike the New Saints. That yes, there's a gulf between these two sides in quality, but not so much so where the New Saints have hardly touched the ball and concede 2 very bad goals really from wide areas.
Yeah, Craig will be not too happy with how they've conceded 2 goals so early. I mean, TNS needed confidence from the get-go to compete. They needed to be able to keep their shape, and they also needed to be able to hold possession, which they haven't been able to do in this opening quarter of an hour. They haven't been allowed to control the ball, so the Swedes very much dictating these opening stages, and they've been testing the goalkeeper regularly, and well, that threat will keep coming.
Yeah. Sadiq just trying a shot from the right channel. He slices it high and wide. A sea of yellow and black in front of us here. A picture of Craig Harrison on the huge TV screens in the corner of the arena, shouting out some instructions. This is quite a unique kind of stadium. It's whether you call it brutalist or minimalist, I'm not sure, but it's basically, it's concrete. Everywhere you look is concrete. It's very, very kind of Nordic, isn't it, Scott?
I think it is, and I think they're a bit annoyed as well that parts of the stadium have had to remain closed to meet the UEFA guidelines for this fixture. Normally they would have a full ends behind the goals, but you've almost got half full because they've had to close the other half on both sides because of the terracing. So that's a UEFA policy. But they're still making a lot of noise. 4,500 in this stadium, is it? You can get 6,500 normally, but well, I think the atmosphere almost sounds like double from what I'm used to at that capacity. The Swedes love to make noise. They stoke up the atmosphere, and well, it's quite a hostile atmosphere perhaps for the TNS players, certainly with the scoreline.
Yeah, 2-0 down, and they're right under pressure, backs to the walls already for the New Saints here in Sweden. Fredriksson threads the ball through the midfield into the feet of Sadiq, who's just tried to move away from his marker on this right-hand side. They go back into Biddy fence. In the corners, the four corners of this arena are concrete floodlight masts which tower above the stadium. They're rectangular, very minimalist in shape. You can see them for miles on the cityscape as well. And very unique design that they've been on since the start of this game. As Ryan Astles urges his team just to calm down, passes it back to his keeper Connor Roberts, who makes a mistake with his clearance out to his left wing and kicks it straight into touch. Wearing all purple tonight, the new Saints goalkeeper. But it's wave after wave of attack here from the Swedish champions, who in their current season are third in the Allsvenskan. Malmo a second, then Elfsborg currently lead the table, but there's only 3 points between those three sides. Anybody that is regulars watching Champions League football will remember Helsingborgs from the 1990s when they had Henrik Larsson. Well, they got relegated from the Allsvenskan last season. Big rivalry in this city with four major teams playing here in Gothenburg. But it's BK Häcken who have the bragging rights so far. Here's Mikael Rygaard, who scored that second goal for Pierre Matthias Hogner's side. Good interception though by Danny Redmond inside the TNS midfield. A long way to go in this tie. The second leg at Park Hall in Oswestry next week. But they lose possession here for the New Saints. Do you feel that they're gradually just starting to calm down a bit here, Scott? Or is it that actually Häcken are quite content just to pass the ball around?
It looks like they're hungry for more goals here on this right side.
Another chance for Sadiq. Spots a runner on the edge of the penalty area with Simon Gustafsson. His twin brother Sam Gustafsson playing alongside him in that midfield. Both 28 years old. Sam has played for Torino in Serie A. And here he is now in the left channel, 40 yards away from goal. Out to the rangy right back, Fredriksson. Looks like a centre forward or a centre back, but he's playing right back. And his cross is intercepted by Chris Marriott, who looks for an early ball between the two centre halves to Dec McManus. Now a chance may be for McManus here. He takes the shot on. It's deflected off Hovland. And handball is given against McManus in that position. Speaking to Craig Harrison last night here at training, and he did say that they identified a real weakness with Hovland and Sandberg. They're confident they can score here tonight. They've really not helped themselves by conceding 2 goals so early on in this game. But you could see there on the counter-attack, it really opened up for Dec McManus. 25 goals in 29 games in the league last season, in hot form, and that was a good position.
And it was a super ball from Chris Marriott in what would have been that left back position. Floated the ball forward a good 40-50 yards, it felt like, to McManus, but he still had lots of work to do. He was so far back deep, he had defenders surrounding him, and just a tad unfortunate to strike the ball. It ricocheted off the yellow and black shirt and onto his own arm to concede the free kick. But well, that's the only real spark of movement we've had going forward towards goal from TNS in 20 minutes. So it kind of sums up the evening so far. I made notes last night during training, and the keynotes were Häcken have got pace, their counter-attack is lethal, and spot moves early, and sadly TNS haven't been able to do that so far.
Yeah, 20 minutes gone. The New Saints of Oswestry 2-0 down here against BK Häcken. And the home team have the ball on this right-hand side. If you missed our preamble to the game, this game does have VAR. So we will have that at Park Hall next week as well. So if required, we will be having VAR. We've got monitors here in the commentary box which we can watch. So that'll be interesting to see if it's brought into play. Free kick there, foul on Danny Redmond, just outside the TNS penalty area. Craig Harrison turning just sweeping his hair to one side. Former Middlesbrough defender whose career was tragically cut short with a terrible injury that he suffered, but making a real name for himself as a manager. His second spell here at the New Saints. They've broken so many records when he's been in charge and gone so close in Europe in the past as well. But at the moment, this is looking already an uphill struggle in this first qualifying round of the Champions League as Häcken again target the right wing, but this time Fredriksson's delivery is wayward, goes over the head of Ibrahim Sadiq and through to the TNS goalkeeper.
Just looking at the height of all of the Häcken players, I mean, you look at Fredriksson, I mean, he's massive, he's so tall, but so is everyone else. You look at the height in the TNS team, and well, other than Ryan Astles and Josh Pask, there isn't much height in there. It's quite a difference between the two sides. I mean, what you don't want, Nick, going back to your point, is for it to become a procession for the hosts after the first leg. We mentioned, I think, was it Skendia when TNS were turned over, but
we went there, didn't we?
Managed to get back into
Skopje in North Macedonia, 5-0 down.
Yeah, after the first leg, and then look at what happened at Park Hall. I mean, on this display, I can't see that happening. But
what happened?
Well, this is it. So
what happened at Park Hall?
Well, I think it finished.
TNS won 5-0.
Yeah, didn't it finish? Was it 5-all on extra time? Yeah.
Anything can happen.
I know my stats, Nick.
Anything can happen in football.
Well, almost anything.
We don't want to see 5 goals here tonight because I think that would be a very different story. A free kick here for Häcken though, just slightly infield, away from the corner flag, and a chance here for the veteran Mikael Rygaard, who scored that second goal to take this left-footed. And Fredriksson, the tallest player on the field, the giant of a player, has made his way to the penalty spot. It's taken comfortably though by Connor Roberts, a good catch by him in the end. And just going back over those goals, Sadiq scoring at the second time of asking off a rebound at the near post after 7 minutes. From the second goal, it was Mikael Rygaard latching onto a cross from the former Ajax winger Tobias Sana to poke it past Connor Roberts. Do you think TNS were just caught cold early on?
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll be disappointed with how they conceded the second goal. The first goal was bad enough. But yeah, the second goal, I think that's almost unforgivable. They were just completely carved open on that left side, and you can't do that in European football. And that solid back line that we talk about in the Cymru leagues, year in, year out, you know, you've got to be versatile enough to pick off those moves forward, and perhaps they're not used to that electric pace. We mentioned the pace of Häcken in the Swedish system. They play such a high tempo of football, and well, it has caught TNS cold.
And Marriott plays a deep ball from left to right. Astles won his header, looking for the run there of Davis. It's beyond him and goes out for a goal kick, which Häcken take quickly. They're doubling up on this right-hand side. The two blonde-headed players on this near side, Rygaard and Fredriksson, causing real problems for TNS. Craig Harrison pacing around his technical area, whereas Pierre Mathias Hogberg is far more relaxed. Former manager of Norway, highly respected in Europe, and turned this club's fortunes around as well against some of the bigger names of Swedish football, like Malmo, Hammarby and Elfsborg. Here's Fredriksson again, 10 yards into the TNS half. He's been hassled there by Danny Redmond. That's much better. It does feel to me, as we reach 26 minutes gone, that although they're 2-0 down here, Scott, that the New Saints are starting to find their feet finally. They could have easily let their heads go down after conceding that second goal, but it takes a lot of courage, determination to make sure that this doesn't end up being a cricket score.
Well, that's the job of Craig Harrison, isn't it, at half time? And well, there's still an absolute dog's age until the interval, it feels. And the question is really, you can't be chasing the game for 90 minutes. TNS have to find some way, any way, to frustrate Häcken, make them find solutions to problems that the New Saints midfield can create. But at the moment, the midfield's having to almost double mark Häcken players moving forward, especially on this right side with Sadiq.
Here's Sadiq again, another chance, saved by Roberts, and away. And the Häcken striker couldn't get his feet in the right place there to get the shot away. Almost came across him too quickly for Filip Trybszewski. Just finding his feet there, and fortunately for the New Saints, he wasn't in the best position to strike the ball from close range.
It looked clumsy from Connor Roberts, but actually when you watch it again, it's a very good save on his goal line when he's under a barrage of pressure.
Here they come again, another ball and another shot saved by Roberts, and again it was Mikael Rygaard. So these shots are raining in on the TNS goal here in Sweden. A sea of yellow and black around us here on BBC Radio Shropshire. As Roberts, well, he's had probably more touches than anyone in this TNS side, and two of those have been picking the ball out of his own net. But here come TNS, this is promising. The former Shrewsbury man, Josh Daniels, plays the ball in, looking for the run of McManus. And they've got some room here on the edge of the area. Shooting chance, Redmond, shoot, deflected, and saved by Peter Ibrahimson. And that was a real chance for Danny Redmond. They went close to scoring there. There's life in this TNS team. What a qualifier in the Champions League we've got here.
It was a good strike, wasn't it, Nick? From range, just maybe needed to open up a little bit more to drill the shot with some pace. He did get a lot of pace on it. And Abrahamson, the goalkeeper, was equal to it, but only just. And that's really the first moment that TNS have been able to create, and we've just had shy of half an hour.
Well, that was a real opportunity for TNS to have scored, and Danny Redmond at least got it on target. Did take a deflection and force the keeper into a save. He was close, and you can see what Craig Harrison means by that he fancies their chances of scoring here tonight, because they are quite open, aren't they? I mean, they don't leave many back in defence. Not that they have to at the moment as they attack again, but the move breaks down. But they commit so many players forward that they are really ripe and there for the taking on the counter-attack if the New Saints can get their own game in order. But the problem is they've got to stop Häcken from scoring again.
Well, the counter-attack, isn't it, is absolutely lethal. And you look at the number of players that they can commit forward in central areas, but also on wide channels, and it's so dangerous. So dangerous.
Approaching half an hour gone, Häcken lead by 2-0. Here's the former Levski Sofia defender Simon Sandberg, who's also played international football for Sweden. Chris Marriott, who's had his own highs and lows in the Champions League. Remember him watching on at the Constant van den Stok Stadium in Brussels, the home of Anderlecht. He'd broken his leg and was in plaster, so had to watch from the sidelines there on a big night of football. We saw a very young Romelu Lukaku scoring some goals for Anderlecht against TNS that night. But Chris Marriott has enjoyed better nights since then. And now with a real tough job on his hands trying to mark Ibrahim Sadiq. But TNS are having more of the possession. Then bang on cue, Deck McManus trod on the ball and they give it away. So the home team have it just on the halfway line. Played up to Rygaard, a rare mistake by him, looking for the knock-on into the centre. Intercepted by Danny Redmond. Redmond shows good skills, didn't panic, waited, looked for his options. They looked so much more settled here, the New Saints. It's been a very good response by them since conceding that second goal, and they've had a chance to have scored as well. So the goal here tonight would really make this tie interesting. They've got in round the back. McManus! And he scores! McManus heads it into the bottom corner, and the New Saints have got themselves back into this game. It was a wonderful ball in from the left-hand side. McManus peeled away from his marker, and he heads it down into the net. It's Häcken 2, the New Saints 1.
Well, where did that come from? But what a finish in McManus. That's exactly what he can do. But, well, huge credit on the left side. Huge gap to make up, but the delivery came in, and McManus heading the ball almost on the penalty spot in midair, and he's picked his spot to that left side of the goalkeeper who couldn't get down quick enough, and the ball is in the back of the net. And well, somehow, and Craig Harrison won't mind anyhow, that they've got themselves back into this tie. We mentioned Skendia from, what was it, 5-6 years ago? It could be a tie of similar comparisons. We'd like to think so.
Well, if you're honest, listening to our commentary, you may have thought after going 2-0 down inside 12 minutes, but it was the tie all over because of the amount of chances that TNS have had to try and prevent from going in. But this makes this tie really interesting now. Dec McManus with the goal. Danny Redmond a few moments ago could have scored as well. And as bad as TNS have been defensively, Häcken have looked pretty poor as well. And Dec McManus, well, his hot form in front of goal continues. A lovely header by him. It was an inch perfect cross from Jordan Williams as well down his left hand side, but he was in acres of room, gifted so much room.
Yeah, Williams, he was gifted so much room, but he did so well to get control of the ball, because when he first had the ball, he played it forward, skipped past his man. There was a chase on to that left corner of the penalty area. He got there right on the paint as it was swung in to the penalty spot, and for McManus to get his head onto the ball, but most importantly control the ball and steer it into that right corner of the net. Well, exemplary, and it's put TNS back in this tie, and the barrage of pressure from the hosts has been diminished.
But we could feel it coming, couldn't we? We could feel that the New Saints looked a lot more confident on the ball. They weren't panicking, they weren't being pressured quite as much. But on the counter-attack, they have looked dangerous. So I think the trick is to try and get Williams and Daniels, when he's able to get forward, into those wide areas, and McManus will do the rest.
You've got to try and play them at their own game almost, and I think TNS having that pace in those wide areas, those inside channels, is probably going to be the key to success. The problem you have got is that this is a very quick surface, and even though it's not a grass pitch, and TNS you would think would be well suited to a surface like this. I don't know if it's just me, but this surface seems very, very quicker than parkour.
Yeah, an artificial pitch here at the Bravida Arena, home of BK Häcken. Just over 10 minutes to go into half-time, and the New Saints have given themselves a lifeline already, pulling a goal back through Dec McManus. It was a wonderful header and a wonderful moment for the New Saints. They trail by 2-1. A foul over on the far side, and a yellow card as well for Daniel Davis. The foul there on Tobias Sana. So a free kick level with the edge of the penalty area over on Häcken's left-hand side, the far side of the stadium, with the blue Gothenburg trams running behind it. And some defending to do here. And TNS have got to make sure that they keep their own house in order here. Defensively, they've got to be switched on.
Well, yeah, they've got to have a solid back line going forward now in this tie. And well, as we mentioned, you've got to be versatile enough. You've got to communicate in that back line at these dangerous moments, because this ball is going to be swung in at some electric speed.
Gustafsson into the near post. Oh, they scored! It's gone in. They look to the linesman. Flag stays down. Will it go to VAR? The TNS defenders appealing, believing that it was offside. We'll have a look at the TV monitor here, but it doesn't look like VAR will be brought in. Already in this tie, 36 minutes gone, 4 goals, 3 of them though to BK Häcken. Do not go anywhere, because this is such a dramatic game in the UEFA Champions League. And the referee, Henrik Nalbandian, has been surrounded here, and he's coming over to look at the monitor. So it looks like we may be getting VAR after all.
Well, it's gone straight in, hasn't it? That's my vision. I don't think anyone's got a touch on it. I mean,
we're waiting to see whether direct or indirect free kick was called initially. But this is what we're waiting for now. We have VAR. Will this third goal for BK Häcken stand? And our monitors have now been switched off as VAR assess this potential goal. So we aren't able to see again what had happened. Was there a touch on its way through? The New Saints argue that there wasn't.
I would agree.
The referee's going to give a decision here. He makes his way and he points to the centre spot. The goal's being given. BK Häcken lead by 3-1. VAR doesn't come to the New Saints' rescue.
That's a big decision, isn't it? And the pendulum spins back again, and in the favour of Häcken, who now have their 2-goal cushion restored after a fight back from the New Saints. And the New Saints have to regroup quickly. There's, 7.5 minutes to go until half time. And well, they've got it all to do again.
It looks like that Evan Hovland has been given the goal, but the question mark is, did he get a touch? Evan Hovland. I think there's real doubt, but unfortunately we haven't been able to watch a replay. But the New Saints are 3-1 down. So Hovland, whose brother Victor Hovland is the famous golfer who's played in the Ryder Cup. He finished joint 7th in the US Masters at Augusta this year. I'm sure his brother is here tonight watching him, the famous Ryder Cup golfer. But his brother has been given the goal, and it's a controversial moment. VAR used, but again, doesn't help the New Saints.
They're back to square one, aren't they, after the poor start, and could get worse before half time, because that goal is just, well, picked up everyone, it seems, in yellow and black. Pinging the ball around now, quite confident.
Like you say pings there, it's like a pinball machine at the moment. They move the ball so quickly, get it out from underneath their feet. The movement of the ball between the thirds is as good as you will see. Watching Football League with Shrewsbury Town, there aren't many clubs that play this kind of football. They are really hot on the ball as they switch it out to the right hand side. They're forced infield. Friedrichsen up against Redmond. A massive height disadvantage there for Redmond, but he did his job. And the ball's now played in towards Rygaard from Denmark, into the feet of Gustafsson, one of the twins. Another chance at the near post. A shot, brilliant save, hits the post and comes back into the hands of Connor Roberts, the former Ajax man, Tobias Sana, very nearly making it 4. Have you ever seen a half with so much going on, Scott Harris?
I haven't. It's one of those games, isn't it, where you just felt that TNS had done enough to just get back into it with that goal. It was such a good finish from McManus, but then they just haven't been able to maintain that. And it'd be interesting to see the possession stats for this first half, because it could be as high as 80% for the home side.
Well, it's been a remarkable game here in Gothenburg. Hardly a chance to draw breath watching this one. And although they're 3-1 down, when the New Saints go forward, they look like they're going to score as well. The problem is they haven't had much of a ball in the final third. And their other problem is that Häcken are so good in the final third at the other end, and now they have another chance with Sadiq into the back post header. Oh, and he's missed a golden chance on the back post. and it was for left back Christopher Lund, whose header really should have nestled into the back of the net, but he couldn't score. And a big let-off for the New Saints as we have 3 minutes to go until half-time. Nick Southall and Scott Harris here on BBC Radio Shropshire, live in Sweden, and also on the BBC Sport website as well. Brilliant cross from Sadiq, and a big chance for the home team there, but it went wide. So the home supporters clapping their team, the ultra fans still waving the huge flags away to our left-hand side. Craig Harrison scratching his head, and a big close-up of Craig Harrison appears on our monitor. He's gone through the mill already here, hasn't he, Scott?
He certainly has in this first half. I think that we all have, and well, I think Craig wasn't naive to think that this was going to be an easy evening, but he'll be a little bit disappointed with just a few things. That third goal for Häcken, I think there's lots of questions there that he'll fire at the referee when they trudge off at half-time in just a few moments.
Well, they'll come off thinking, what on earth has hit us in that first half? I mean, they are such a good team, Häcken. One of the best I've probably seen covering the New Saints over the last decade for BBC Radio Shropshire in Europe. We go back to the likes of Midtjylland from Denmark, who are a team very well known for playing very good football from Scandinavia. TNS have been to Sweden twice before against Osters and Helsingborg, but this team is far superior to those. They have to be a very good team to beat the likes of Malmo to the Allsvenskan league title, don't they? And they're showing their qualities. But there have been some good periods for the New Saints as well in the attacking third. Defensively, though, it's been a bit of a horror show.
Yeah, you look at the Gustafsson twins of Sam and Simon in midfield, and Rijkaard as well. They just look so solid in those central areas, but most importantly, they look at those opportunities that sort of sprout from those wide positions, and they can just get forward so quickly and cause so much danger for TNS. They just don't know how to deal with the ball.
This Häcken team, though, don't like the physicality. TNS have just tried to leave a couple of heavy challenges here, and they're always looking over to the referee, I suppose, because many teams can't get near them on the ball most of the time. Another good run by Tobias Sana down the left, cutting in from a wide angle, and gets a corner in the end. So we have 45 seconds of the 45 minutes to go, bit of added on time to be played. TNS holding on here at the end of the first half, defending this corner away to our right. 3-1 down, whipped in by Gustafsson into the back post, free header away by Davies, and Astles shadows the ball away, and just the ball goes out for a goal kick to Connor Roberts. And Scott Harris, our summariser tonight, alongside me, Nick Southall here at the Bravida Arena. What will Craig Harrison be saying at half-time?
Well, he'll have lots of thoughts as the board goes up for 3 minutes, added on, and he's going to have lots to say. I think importantly, it's how do you maintain that constant pressure from the home side, because they're not beginning to show any signs of tiring. They look hungry to extend their lead. And for TNS, it goes back to what I said a few moments ago, that they've got to find a way to frustrate Häcken, and it's when TNS get forward themselves, that's when they frustrate them, but those opportunities are few and far between.
Yeah, you fancy the New Saints to get another goal here. If they can get it in the right areas, I can't see why they can't score again, but they've got to shore up this defence, else it doesn't matter. They're not going to win the we'll score more goals than you. Another chance here for the New Saints. Here they come. Danny Redmond sporting a very bright pair of orange boots on this artificial surface to McManus. Oh, and nearly a second for Deck McManus. He puts it wide. A great chance. McManus, who's already got a goal in this tie. and nearly found the top corner and really should have scored. What a game we've got here in Sweden for you. But still, the New Saints trail by 3-1. Well,
that was closer than it looked, and you just felt that he might have maybe just opened his body up a little bit too much, but he wasn't far away. And as we said just those few moments ago, when TNS get forward, they do look dangerous and do look like scoring. The problem is at the other end, they just can't contain the appetite of Häcken. So Häcken looking good offensively, but defensively Häcken have got a few problems.
This is one of those games where it keeps you right on the edge of your seat. Don't go anywhere, because as we saw there, they look pretty weak in defence, BK Häcken, and that was a golden chance for McManus. Just looking at his body language there, just a grimace from him, head down. He'll pick himself back up again, but he knows that's a big chance.
Yeah, they've got some young bodies in the Häcken squad, haven't they? You know, in the team. So you've got Fredriksson, who's just 21, and you've got Christopher Lund Hansen again. He's also 21. Sadiq is only 23. So you've got lots of inexperienced football minds in that starting 11. I think this is where the experience of TNS that can sort of pounce on those frailties. Certainly going forward, but it's certainly not a traditional 3-1.
Roberts with a poor kick away. That's a fair challenge. It's a throw in, and you can see again they're not used to heavy challenges like that, but it was a very good sliding challenge by Daniel Davies. It's another throw though. We're approaching half time. The referee gives a free kick against Ibrahim Sadiq, the number 37 from Ghana. I think that will be our lot for this first half. And anybody who's paid to come into the ground tonight have been treated to such a thrilling game of football. Half-time here in the UEFA Champions League as the two teams make their way off. And real work for Craig Harrison's team to do. But they do look very lively going forward. Denk McManus getting a goal and could have scored another as well. So who knows what the second half is going to bring here in Scandinavia. And as the two teams head down the tunnel, Scott, really they've got to address the defence, haven't they? They've got to come up with a system of preventing conceding goals from crosses coming in from wide positions.
Yeah, we said that at the start, didn't we, about, well, ultimately you've got to reduce that possession count, haven't you? I'd be interested to see what the stats are if we can get a hold of them here in the commentary box. But if you don't have possession, that you're not really going to make a dent into the situation. That counter-attack is absolutely lethal from Häcken, and the pace that they have, again, is really strong. So TNS have got to be better at spotting those moves early, especially out on those wide areas, but also in the centre of the park. I think they've been carved open far too easily, and the ball's been almost delivered on a plate on the edge of the penalty area for them to lay the ball up and tee the ball into those really dangerous areas. And I think Connor Roberts has been exposed perhaps a little bit too much in this first half, and hence the scoreline. But if I was Craig Harrison, it's reducing the possession of the hosts BK Häcken, because they've had far too much of the ball, they've been far too comfortable with it and far too threatening. But having said that, when TNS have the ball, as we mentioned, those frailties in defence, Häcken are there to tear open. And I think fantastic finish from McManus. Perhaps should have had a second, and that would have been, well, could have been 3-3, but yeah, Häcken could have had a lot more. They're creating 5 times the amount of attacking moves, aren't they? And I think that's the problem.
It does feel like we'll score more goals than you, but Häcken will win that because they are superior going forward.
You can't compete with them going forward, but defensively, I think, as I keep saying, if you reduce that possession and make life difficult for Häcken, because they're going to go in 3-1 up at half time. The manager is probably going to be quite happy with what he's seen largely, There will be a few points, I'm sure, that Matthias Hogmo will be very disappointed with. Certainly how they conceded the goal to get TNS back in it. They gave them a sniff when they really weren't entitled to have one. So from that perspective, I think the BK Häcken manager will be a little bit upset by that, but overall he'll be delighted at 3-1.
If there's any Häcken fans who've chosen to go and watch Coldplay in Gothenburg tonight instead of coming here to watch this game, well, they'll be thinking we've really missed out, because it's been a very entertaining first half. Häcken scoring the first goal after just 7 minutes. It was Ibrahim Sadiq breaking down the right, had a shot initially saved by Connor Roberts, but scored on the rebound at the near post. Then they scored a second after just 12 minutes. A cross swung in from the left. Now it's the veteran Mikael Rijkaard poking it in from close range. But then the New Saints reacted brilliantly. They managed to settle themselves into the game, had more of the possession in midfield, and Danny Redmond, after 28 minutes, had a shot in the left edge of the penalty area, deflected, and it was a good save by Peter Bramerson. But the goal did come for TNS just 3 minutes later. Jordan Williams breaking down the left wing, and Dec McManus, the leading goal scorer for the New Saints last season, with a delicate header into the bottom right-hand corner to give them some hope in this tie after going 2-0 down so early. But then they conceded again. A free kick from Gustafsson. Now, the New Saints were claiming that there wasn't a touch from Evan Hovland, the brother of the famous golfer Victor Hovland. We went to VAR, and VAR judged that there was a touch on the ball, so the goal stood. Then Häcken hit the post 5 minutes before half-time. And just to round off the first half, the New Saints could have made it 3-2. Lovely ball into the edge of the D to Dec McManus, and he went from the top left-hand corner, and it was narrowly wide. So they trail by 3-1. The final thoughts of the first half here with Scott Harris.
Well, I happened to see we were given one replay on the monitor. You were busy looking on the pitch, so you missed the replay of that goal from the free kick for the third goal. From what I could see, I only saw it about once, but I did not see a touch there. It looked as if the ball was floated straight in from the free kick. So I think Craig Harrison will obviously be upset by that and what's occurred, but you've got to move on quickly. There's no point talking about it. VAR's obviously had a better view than perhaps what the one angle we had. Maybe the referee had a different angle, but from the angle that we were given, the monitors were then switched off, not sure why. But from that one blown angle that we had from high up in the sky centre, it didn't look as if anyone got anything anywhere near the ball for that third goal.
Well, from a beautiful sunny night here in Sweden for the next 10 minutes or so, we'll hand back to the studio back in Shrewsbury at BBC Radio Shropshire. Mary-Kate Wilden presenting tonight's show. Mary-Kate, what a first half it's been.
Well, I'm surprised you've got any breath left after that.
I am starting to feel a bit hoarse already. I mean, the thing is, it's all the excitement of a Champions League game, and then to have 2 early goals, and like everybody tuning in, you just have this sickening feeling, this deflated feeling that, oh no, it's going to be one of those nights, and the tie's going to be over before they even fly back to the UK. But this is such a strange game. I can't call it, because TNS look very dangerous. They just need to find a way of getting the ball a bit more into that final third, but every time they have, they look likely to score. But defensively, they've got to sort themselves out.
Well, what I'll do is I'll give you a couple of minutes to get your breath back before I come back to you and ask some more of your thoughts. I'll be back with Nick Southall and Scott Harris, your commentary team for tonight's game, very, very shortly.
Midweek Sport
on BBC Radio Shropshire
with Mary-Kate Wielden.
Well, it sounds like it's been a bit of a breathless first half out there in Gothenburg. It's currently BK Häcken 3, the New Saints 1. But it sounds like it's been a cracking first half if you like attacking football. Maybe not on the defensive side. Maybe that'll come in the second half. But it sounds like it's been a very enjoyable game. We'll be back with that commentary team out there in Gothenburg in about 5 minutes' time. So not long at all. It's got a little bit of time to look at the sports elsewhere. Meanwhile, UEFA will launch a disciplinary case after the Champions League qualifier between Maltese club Hamrun Spartans and Maccabi Haifa last night had to be stopped in the first half an hour after clashes between the fans. Video footage showed missiles being thrown and flares landing on the pitch amid claims of racist and pro-Palestine chanting from the host supporters. There's other games tonight as well as the TNS game going on tonight. FC Astana 1, Dinamo Tbilisi 1, HJK Helsinki 1, Larn 0. Of course, BJ Häcken are winning 3-1 out against the New Saints. And the Slovan Bratislava and Swift Herpensang game kicks off at 7:30. So plenty of games going on elsewhere. We'll just catch up quickly. Hopefully they've caught their breath. A commentary team of Nick Southall and Scott Harris. Guys, just if you can just quickly sum up that first half. I know you've done it already, but what do TNS need to do now in the second half? They've had their chances, but it seems like it might be the defensive side of the game which is letting them down a little bit.
Yeah, I think they can take some confidence from that first half, really, with the chances that they've had on goal. They just haven't had half as many that they perhaps needed to keep up with Häcken, who just look electric going forward, as we mentioned. So, I mean, at one point that I'll come back to, I think, we made earlier, was this whole argument of whether the Welsh league system, the Cymru leagues, would benefit from a spring, summer, autumn season, because I think it's very clear that despite the gulfing difference between the Swedish and the Welsh Football League systems, you almost feel that it's clear that the Swedish side are in the middle of their season, and you come back to that age-old argument of, well, is it a handicap? Well, I think it probably is. Effectively still pre-season for TNS, and to be all guns blazing from kick-off. We've seen it in other Champions League ties that TNS have been involved in, and other European adventures where they just haven't been able to get out of get into top gear quickly enough to deal with their opponents, and I think that's pretty clear in that first half. And I think both sides will have jitters in this tie. First time, isn't it, for Häcken in the Champions League? So with a fairly young squad, there's a few experienced heads in there. Generally, this is new territory for them in this competition, so there will be moments for TNS to capitalise on, and I think they've got the quality with Declan McManus. He's on the score sheet, perhaps could have had two. I think they've maybe been wasteful of a few other opportunities in midfield. So yeah, in terms of what they can do, it's reducing that possession as the two teams re-emerge from the tunnel. But TNS have to reduce the amount of possession that they're giving Häcken. It's as simple as that, and then it's up to TNS what they do with it.
Well, if they are going to get back into the game, what is it that they need to do?
Well, as I said, really, I think reducing that possession, but also giving more service to McManus. It's clear to see that McManus knows where the goal is, and if you can give him more service, if you can get the ball into central areas, which I think is where TNS will have most success, they'll have every chance of adding to their tally. The problem is, of course, that how do you keep the score down at the other end? Having said that, TNS have had some good success with the likes of Jordan Williams, who's been skipping past defenders, perhaps been the only TNS player who's been allowed to get forward, and he was the creator of McManus's goal. So if they can continue to do that and just reset, pretend that it's perhaps 0-0 and they start again, then who knows what can happen. And I think TNS could be good value to get on the score sheet again in this second half, but as we keep saying, Häcken seem to have that appetite to score. You look at one thing we haven't mentioned, and we'll bring Nick Southall in, I think, at this point as we're about to kick off, is the subs bench. Häcken, you look at the squad of Häcken, Nick, and you've got so much quality there, and equally the New Saints have quality. They've got lots of experience. They've got Sislovic, Brobel, Routledge, Blaine Hudson as well, lots of talent. But you look at the substitutions, and I think if Häcken do concede again, they can perhaps make a few substitutions to kick on.
They have. It's a glorious sunny evening here in Gothenburg, the second largest city here in Sweden. This seaport, the major seaport in Scandinavia, and there are a few heavy black rain clouds over in the distance. We're halfway here between Oslo in Norway to the north, Copenhagen in Denmark to the south, and we were in Copenhagen not too long ago with the New Saints up against Ståle Solbakken, the former Wolves manager. They lost there, and they are on the wrong side of the scoreline here at the moment. The second half underway, live here on BBC Radio Shropshire with me, Nick Southall, and Scott Harris for BBC Radio Shropshire. We're live online as well if you're out and about on the BBC Sport website. And Häcken have an early corner here. The New Saints kicking from our left to right. The Ultra fans behind the goal, but they're defending, so lots of noise there. Headers won by Pask, and it goes out for another corner to the Swedish champions. No, they've been overruled, and they're not happy at all with the referee from Armenia, Henrik Nalbandian. But he's given a goal kick here and a bit of respite already for the New Saints, playing in green and white. Häcken, known as the Wasps, in yellow and black. Let's recap the two teams. TNS have Connor Roberts in goal, a defence of Davis, Astles, Pask and Marius. In midfield, Williams, Smith, Daniel Williams, Redmond, and then Daniels and McManus, the lone striker who has scored here this evening. Häcken are unchanged at half-time. Their keeper, 6'3" tall, Swedish international Peter Abrahamsson is in goal. Defence of Fredriksson, Sandberg, Hovland and Lund. Three in midfield of Gustafsson, the twins, both 28 years old, and Rygaard. And here is Rygaard, threads it through. Pull touch there from Sana, one of three forwards, the former Ajax man, Trepsevsky down the centre, and Sadiq, who's been probably player of the game so far, on the right-hand side. So Häcken playing a 4-3-3 formation, and find it so easy like a hot knife through butter, getting through the banks of this TNS defensive unit. Scott, it's been very difficult so far.
Yeah, even in this the second half, conceding the corner after 30 seconds, you thought, what's going to happen here? But it was actually a good clearance from Josh Pask. He read the ball, read the delivery really well, and it was quite right to be a goal kick, because it did take a deflection off the Häcken man. But they have to bring that possession right the way down, as we've barked on about in the commentary. But it's just so true, because if you allow Häcken to dictate play, when you do have the ball, it just cranks up the pressure even more, that you have to do something valuable with it. And TNS have shown that they can create when they have the ball, but they just haven't had enough of it. And the early signs in the second half is that perhaps they haven't changed anything, but I think they've got a throw level with the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, they've got a throw here on the right-hand side, so an opportunity to send the likes of Ryan Astles for centre-half forward. He's at the near post. Astles wins a header, drops down, but nobody there. In the green and white top for the New Saints of Oswestry, the Cymru Premier champions once again. Their manager, Craig Harrison, urging them on. They have the ball in the centre circle. Super work by Pask. Under real pressure there. Plays it out to Jordan Williams, who supplied the ball for McManus's headed goal after just 31 minutes in this game. They are 3-1 down though, 4 minutes of this second half gone. Nick Southall and Scott Harris with you. We spent the day with a couple of BK Häcken supporters. Quite an interesting day, travelling around on the trams, which was a bit of an experience. But we managed to get there in the end. We've walked through the rain, pouring rain, people say coming to Gothenburg is beautiful this time of year, sunny days, hardly. I think the sun goes down after 11 o'clock in these parts. Not last night, it didn't.
No.
And I think tonight, it was really nice. There is some sunshine, but there are some heavy storm clouds drifting in from left to right.
Of course, we woke up to thunder this morning. That was quite an alarm clock. At about 6 a.m, thunderstorm, electric thunderstorm over the bay.
Then the horn of a Stena Line ferry, which was absolutely enormous. How it managed to get its way underneath the bridge in front of our hotel, well, it was a scary moment. But they've done it many times before.
Well, this is it. It was a bit of an optical illusion. You thought there's no way this ship is going to get under the bridge, but of course you knew that they've done it 100 times before.
Is Stana into the back post, headed away by Davies, and then Redmond just plays it into space down the left, looking for the run of McManus, but Häcken keep the ball in play. And for the first time really in this game, not a lot is happening, which we couldn't say in the first half. TNS won't mind that one bit. I'm sure they would have been told the opening 10 minutes to the second half, you've just got to keep it tight, you've got to get people back in behind the ball, and hope to keep it as quiet as you can and nick a goal towards the end. You offered them now 3-2, they'd snap your hand off for it. Here's Gustafsson out to the left. That's Sam Gustafsson that played for Torino in Serie A. A shot for Hovland, a rare chance for him, venturing forwards 20 yards away from goal, but drags it wide on this artificial pitch. And I'm not sure whether it's an advantage to TNS or not. They play on artificial. The problem is that then Häcken will have that advantage at Park Hall next week as well. So there you go.
So it certainly seems fast there as a surface here. Knowing that the pitch quite well at Park Hall, don't think it runs as fast, but who knows? Maybe that's an optical illusion.
Ball's passed back to the Häcken goalkeeper. Under pressure here from Williams. That was really good closing down by the TNS midfielder, who's having a tremendous game here in Gothenburg. Here's Hovland again. 6'5" defender. Passes it square out to the right-hand side to Rygaard. He's the man who really like the puppet master in that midfield. He pulls the strings. He doesn't venture too far away from where he needs to be. He's always providing an option in there, and his distribution of the ball is excellent. Here he is again on the ball. You can see him looking up straight away. Didn't see an option on the right, but saw room on the left. A cross in, and a chance for a fourth. Still another chance, and they haven't got their shooting boots on so far. Here's Rygaard though, and Astles absolutely hammers it down the field. It was agricultural, and it was very effective.
I don't know how they've missed that. Here they come again.
Another chance. They've got themselves round the back. An opportunity with Lund on this near side, and he's got support with Sadiq, who is playing on the right but popped up on the left here. And they're forced back. Lund, the left back, into Sam Gustafsson. Now his twin brother plays it square to Simon Sandberg. And a wayward ball over the top goes out for a goal kick for the New Saints. And Connor Roberts, this game being broadcast live across Sweden tonight. So lots of TV cameras dotted around the stadium. We've got Swedish radio in the commentary booth next to us. Here's Ryan Astles now, passing the ball out of defence. Searching ball forwards for Dec McManus. He's really got to keep his discipline tonight, stay in those positions, be patient, and wait for that ball to come. He just tells Connor Roberts there just to settle. He's got the ball in his hands, just take the sting out of this game, slow the game down, and that's probably what they lacked in that opening 10 minutes. But a really officious referee here, Henrik Nalbandian, he hardly had the ball in his hands, and already he was telling him to get the ball forward. So any hint of time wasting, and the referee from Armenia looks like he's going to probably bring out the yellow card. But he looked like a bad teacher or headmaster that you really didn't want to get on the wrong side of when you were at school. I'm sure you would have had that experience, Scott.
Certainly,
your
yeah.
education.
Yeah.
It's right guard Gustafsson midway inside the TNS half. The home team lead by 3-1. 55 minutes gone. Keep the ball here, Häcken, in the left channel. Now there's room on this left-hand side with Lund. So these fullbacks are almost playing like wingers at the moment. Now Fredriksson out to Sadiq. Sadiq's first touch let him down, but he keeps the ball. Their technique and ability to get out of tight areas like that is very, very good. Pressure on Gustafsson. Waits for the TNS man to make his move. He's still going here. And then big crunching challenge. A good old-fashioned defender's challenge there from Ryan Assels to get the ball clear. No nonsense, no prisoners.
Nothing wrong with that. That was a fine challenge from Ryan Assels.
It's dropped cooler here at the Bramida Arena as the sun disappears. Fredriksson's got himself into the area. But again, the New Saints managed to cut the ball out as Davis very nearly got himself into a position where he could take Simon Sandberg on. They only left 2 centre-backs on the halfway line there, and because the full-backs are pushing so far forward, you know, there are avenues, there are very fruitful avenues for the New Saints.
Well, it's almost like a 4-2-4 system for Häcken on the attack. They're just pushing men forward. They just know that they can afford to overcommit and perhaps something will happen, but they've had so much possession in this second half, it's just untrue.
Pask kicks it out of the TNS half, and Häcken are gifted the ball back again. Their manager, Per Mathias Hogma, standing in front of us. He's feeling a bit chilly. He's put his suit jacket back on. He looks very smart. He's had great success in Norway with Tromsø and Rosenborg. He managed the Norway national team as well. There's McManus, who does the ugly side of his job well there. He had to track back and he won the ball importantly in the midfield. But now there's challenges raining in from both teams. Ball was kicked out to play. There's a foul here and an injury for Ibrahim Sadiq on the far side. So stoppage in play. And it looks like there could be a change here for BK Häcken as well.
Well, Hogmo looks very smart, but he's wearing brown leather shoes with a black suit. And he's not wearing a shirt, he's wearing a black t-shirt. Not sure if you can you mix colours with footwear, Nick? Would you wear brown leather with a black suit?
I think so. It's normally white trainers these days, isn't it? Or all the pundits on the telly in the Premier League, they've got these black shoes, or kind of black footwear with like a white trim.
He does have a white trim around the brown leather base. Very smart, but yeah.
I'll tell you what, there's a few lookalikes here today. There's a substitute for Häcken that looks a spit of Gareth Southgate. Can you see
does, yes.
Who
maybe not with the hair, but the facial features.
Facial features looks a dead cert.
Yeah.
And there's a member of the Swedish press who I'm trying to spot on the rows in front of us, who's a spitting image of Damon Hill, the Formula One driver.
I did see him earlier, yes.
Yeah.
I was going to mention it to you, but you beat me to it. I don't think it is Damon.
No, well, it's not Gareth Southgate speaking to the Häcken manager, but he's giving some advice here. Looks like there will be a change on the way. And Ibrahim still receiving some treatment, back on his feet on the far side, but they're down to 10 men at the moment. The ball course, kicked out, and the New Saints have taken the opportunity to get some refreshments on board. Approaching an hour gone, 3-1 down here on BBC Radio Shropshire and on the BBC Sport website. Totland is about to come on. But half an hour to go, how do you see the game here, Scott Harris?
Well, I think if you'd have said at half-time that it was going to stay 3-1 at the hour, I probably wouldn't have believed you, based on the first half. If it stays 3-1 at full-time, I probably wouldn't believe you. So I think there will be a plentiful supply of chances still left in the final half an hour. And, of course, we'll only be at half-time in the tie. And we mentioned Skendia and that famous comeback at Park Hall after being 5-0 down to be 5-5, and well, you never know. And I think at 3-1 you're probably going to be disappointed if you are the BK Häcken manager Per Mattias Hogmo, because you feel that with the amount of possession they've had, they are probably worthy more of more goals.
They are. They're going to make a double substitution when they can, but Conor Roberts has the ball in his hands here. Boos from the Häcken fans behind him. Sloppy back pass from Marius. Real pressure there on Roberts, but he dispatches well up to the halfway line. McManus really angry with himself with his first touch there. He's had such a great game, McManus. Could have scored a second. From our point of view, we would say that the New Saints could be 3-2 in this game, because McManus had that really good chance just before half-time. Even 3-3 with Danny Redmond's effort as well. But we must remember that Sana hit the post in that first half, and they've had, well, squandered quite a lot of chances around the 6-yard box, haven't they, Häcken?
Yeah, they had that one chance, didn't they, at the end of the first half, where I can't quite remember who it was, but they had a left corner stick of the goal area, free shot, free header at goal, and just got it all wrong. And yeah, you mentioned all of those moments that BK Häcken have had that they could have easily have extended their lead. But you're quite right in saying that TNS could have had a few more with the opportunities that they've had. As the substitutions occur, it is Totland and Thibaut Uchenna who's coming on. So these fresh legs that Häcken have, let's see what difference that makes in this second half.
It's interesting, they've taken off a centre half.
Yes.
Which again points to the fact that we've seen that they are weak defensively, so they've replaced Simon Sandberg, and his place is taken by Thibaut, and Totland has come on instead of Fredriksson at right back on the opposite side. Here is Thibaut. His first touch in this UEFA Champions League first qualifying game against the New Saints, and it's an historic night for this Swedish side, the champions in the Allsvenskan, because it's the first time they've made it to the Champions League qualifiers, although in the past they have played in European competitions. But it's TNS looking for a goal at the other end now as they attack with Jordan Williams. He was the supplier for McManus's goal earlier. Can they get another one here? They're playing much better football. It's a much more equal contest. Here's Williams again. And the ball is switched out to the left-hand side with Daniels. Got options in behind him. And now the home team have got everybody back in behind the ball. Marriott to Astles. And this is probably the most passes they've strung together here, the New Saints. They're still going past, and it was a decent ball in the end, but it just seemed to have caught Leo Smith just slightly napping there, and they lose the ball in the attacking third.
Too much pace on it, wasn't there, for Leo Smith to chase, but it was a good 9-10 passes connected together for the first time in this match.
Here come Häcken down the left-hand side. Good challenge by Pask. He's done very well, hasn't he, Pask, the youngster?
Yeah, he's grown into this game. I think he probably had a nervy 10 minutes, but then so did the rest of the TNS team. But he's certainly got an appetite going in this second half to get involved more. Certainly in terms of moving the ball forward, he's not just on defensive duty. When you look at the back line now, they're almost playing with a back six at times. McManus has been doing ever so well to defend when he's needed to. He's been sprinting back as McManus trying to create that bust that Craig Harrison wanted to park at the start of the match.
Well, here is Tabo, plays it to the other centre half, Hovland, and now Gustafsson into his brother, back to Tabo, 2 staying out wide on the right hand side, Häcken 3, TNS 1. And that's how it was at half time. New Saints could have scored just before half time. Declan McManus on the edge of the D, looking to place it into the top left hand corner, and it wasn't far away. Boos ringing out, cascading around this concrete stadium as the New Saints hold on to the ball in the defence, trying to eat up some time if they can. We talked about this stadium, trying to come up with some terms that describe it best. We described it either as minimalist or brutalist. We've seen some neo-classical architecture around Gothenburg as well, Scott, haven't we?
We have.
Do you know what that means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means there could be a goal there.
Nearly. Ball was threaded through. Nowhere near the striker though. Scott Harris buying time to work out what not clear-classical, neo-classical means. But looks well when we read about it. The floodlights taking pretty much full effect here, and the referee's gone over to Connor Roberts again. He's not going to win that battle, the TNS goalkeeper. And he's told him no more, Mr. Nalbandian, as he tells off Connor Roberts. And he'll have to make sure and tread a very careful line here as he kicks it into the halfway to our right. Good header by McManus. And now Smith into Redmond. Redmond, oh, he nearly found Smith on the 1-2, and that was very, very nearly a great position for Leo Smith, and had he picked the ball up, he would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was just a yard or two short as Leo Smith sprinted into the central area of the penalty area there, and just couldn't latch on to the end of it because he would have just passed the ball under the goalkeeper surely from that range. And 3-2 would not be the true story of this game. Still 3-1, but TNS with just a sniff. They're still in this game.
Yeah,
they're not out of it.
The first half had all the drama, and now we've got all of the kind of anxiety in this second half, as the New Saints are doing a great job in making sure that Häcken do not score again, and still look dangerous on the counter-attack as well. So this tie is very much alive here in Gothenburg. We've had 67 minutes gone. Ibrahim nearly finds a way around the back. They get a corner though to Häcken. Just watch the replay on our monitor. It's a really good challenge by Daniel Davies. Häcken have the corner on their right. It's going to be taken by Mikael Rygaard.
Dangerous moment, isn't it, this? The next goal critical. Just over, or midway into this second half.
Well, it's whipped into the penalty spot. 2 TNS players go down injured. Oh, and there's now real urgency here from the TNS players. Now they're claiming there was an elbow, and we can see blood pouring out of the forehead. And I'm trying to work out who it is. It may be Josh Daniels, the former Shrewsbury Town man, and there was real urgency there shown by his colleagues to go over to get some medical assistance, and he's been seen to here. Now TNS are claiming that it was a deliberate elbow. It'll be interesting to see whether the officials will have a look at VAR here, because he's in a bad way, Josh Daniels. He'll probably almost certainly have to have some kind of stitches because it's a gaping wound, and there is a lot of blood there. Daniel Davies, I think, got caught up in the melee, and it may have been Daniels that fell into Davies, and he fell awkwardly.
Davies seems okay, but Josh Daniels covered in blood, his whole face covered with blood. He's receiving treatment, and nice to see applause from the home supporters momentarily before they burst into song to continue that tempo, that momentum that this home side have earned in this tie. But you do worry for Josh Daniels there, because that was an almighty clattering that he's taken to the face.
It is, and the medical team now have really got their work cut out, because if it's too big a wound, then there's no way he can continue. If they can maybe put some temporary stitches in and wrap his head with a bandage, then that may be the way of making sure that Josh Daniels can continue. But they have the walkie-talkies now, don't they? And they can communicate with the bench. And there is some movement on the New Saints bench. They've got another shirt ready, so if he can continue, they'll swap his top. While this is happening, there's going to be a change, and off for Häcken goes Filip Trubsevski, and we're waiting to see. He's going to be replaced by Leone.
It's the new man.
Comes on. Yeah, he's been playing in the A-League in Australia, so the new signing, Aimer Leone, comes on. Hair in a ponytail, bandage around his left wrist, and he comes on to the applause of the home supporters, while Josh Daniels continues to receive some treatment. But this is a fascinating game so far. We've had 70 minutes on the clock. We're going to have quite a bit of stoppage time here. The New Saints 3-1 down. But they're playing really well, the New Saints. This has been a very good second half from them.
Yeah, once again undone in Europe by the opening 10-15 minutes. And, that will probably come back to bite them going into the second leg, almost certainly. There will be lots of added on time. But you think almost certainly that Leone, the Tunisian, who has been at Western Sydney Wanderers, and you think that he's the straight swap for Benny Traore, who's, I'm not sure, he may have signed for Sheffield United whilst we've been on the air, very close to putting pen to paper on a deal to leave the club. They will miss him. 12 goals in 14 appearances in his third season at Häcken. They'll get a lot of money for him, at least £3 million, the equivalent. He had a deal here until 2026, so I think they will cash in on that.
Well, the medical team have done a really good job here from TNS. Josh Daniels will continue. He's had a bandage wrapped around his head, a change of shirt, and he'll be coming on. But they're down to 10 men at the moment. Here is Ibrahim, low centre of gravity. Takes him very quick across the artificial surface in front of us. They recycle the ball out to the right now. 45 yards away from goal. There's another TNS player down. It's Jordan Williams. Gasps of frustration from the supporters and their manager. Obviously, they haven't seen much football in England, because this happens quite a lot. But yeah. I think Williams was caught there.
He was, and he's every right to go down. He's got a problem with his right knee. It certainly wasn't Josh Daniels' intention to have such a lengthy stoppage. He certainly wouldn't want to take a blow to the face like that for fun. So the home supporters just getting a little bit impatient. You'd think that it's part of the narrative, don't you, when you're 3-1 up, that the opponents will become a little bit laboured, try to hang on. I mean, I think actually this would be a very good result at 3-1 to take into a second leg, considering what we know can happen in two-legged football. But it's fascinating actually just how Häcken have set themselves up now. And you mentioned earlier, Nick, didn't you, about the replacing the centre-backs. We'll maybe talk about that in a moment, because something's going on down there.
Well, it's all confusing here. There's a lot of anger on the home bench, because Jordan Williams has finally got onto his feet, but has slowly come off. Josh Daniels was then called back over. It's all kicking off between the two benches, because Craig Harrison has some words. So all the niceties before the match, in the heat of battle, have been put to one side here. but they're doing well. Holden is about to come on. Jordan Williams is off at the moment. He looks like he's going to be substituted, and Holden will be coming on very shortly. But the game back underway, 74 minutes gone. But we're going to have quite a bit of stoppage time here. Häcken 3, TNS 1. And here come the Swedish champions down the right. They've got room with Totland. Totland, the Norwegian, back into Gustafsson. His ball intercepted. And now TNS have their tails up and attack down the left. Is their support though? McManus is down the centre. Leo Smith is waiting as well. The ball is crossed in, but it's between both. And it's going to go through to the keeper. And here on BBC Radio Shropshire, 15 minutes off the 90 to go. Nick Southall and Scott Harris with you. Live from Sweden. The second leg played at Park Hall next week. What will be the scoreline going into that? Still feels a long way to go in this first leg.
McManus almost playing as a right back at the moment, and that's why he was so far back when the ball was unleashed forward over the halfway line. There was no one going with the man, and TNS just weren't able to capitalise on that counter-attack, and that's a big problem, isn't it, with still over 15 minutes to go in this first leg.
Rory Holden comes on. He's got experience in the Football League. Defending a corner, it's taken short here for Häcken. Gustafsson looks to pick out Ibrahim Sadiq, but it goes over his head and is out for a throw to the New Saints. Had they started the game like this, the New Saints, this would have been very interesting indeed.
And this is what we go back to, isn't it? About, this is the very first game, the first competitive game of TNS's season, and you just feel that if they were coming into this tie midway into a campaign, would they have started better? Did the occasion get to them, the noise of the stadium? They're not perhaps used to playing in front of this many people. It's the Champions League after all.
Yeah, it's turned into a scrappy second half, and that is really music to the ears of the New Saints supporters, because it means that they're really frustrating Häcken, and it's working because that fluidity they had in that first half has suddenly been left in the changing room at half time. Another wayward pass from the home team there goes out of play. So a throw for the New Saints over on the far left hand side of the Bravida Arena. And options as Josh Daniels sprints over to receive the ball. Marriott goes searching for Dec McManus, an aerial ball in the end, and he wanted it to feet. Now Häcken look to play it over the top, but again Pask defends really well, heads it out to play into the corner here for a throw in to Häcken.
Pask has been very good, hasn't he? He's read the ball well, certainly in the second half. And TNS need their players to step up to what is a big occasion now with, just over 12 minutes plus stoppages to go.
Ball's played out here to Sadiq. I think TNS would hope that he'll go off because he's the main threat. Gustafsson pressured there. And it's cleared by Ryan Astles. It goes up to the halfway line. Out for a throw, which is taken quickly. Frustration still on the bench of Häcken. They want to see a better tempo to their game. Here's their new signing, Aymar Leoni, who couldn't keep the ball in. He goes behind for a goal kick for the New Saints. Boos ringing out. That tells you everything you need to know.
I think they're just not used to this brand of football, and not used to European adventures coming up against opposition like TNS, who needed to make life difficult for Häcken in the second half.
Here's McManus, always tackled there by Tabo. He got himself into a good position there, Dec McManus. You look at Häcken's history in European football. They reached the first round, I should say, of the UEFA Cup in 2007, but they lost 8-1 on aggregate to Spartak Moscow. And then last year here in the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifiers, they were beaten overall by Aberdeen, but they beat Aberdeen here 2-0 last year. And that's the same scoreline, the difference at the moment, as Häcken lead by 3-1. They're attacking again. The New Saints getting everybody back behind the ball. It's cleared by Redmond. Picked up by Hovland. Now Lund strikes it at goal. Hits the thigh of Ryan Astles. He'll probably have a bruise there in the morning. That was a fierce strike by Lund. As they work it into the right channel now. Waiting for that opening. Will he come here? Gustafsson. Tabo's in there. Astles on the edge of the 6-yard box, heads it out back towards the right-hand side for Häcken. They've still got options here. They're not rushing into any darting runs at the moment.
This is pedestrian-like, isn't it? They're just walking with the ball into that final third. TNS standing tall, little movement as the ball's drilled in.
Harriet gets a touch on the cross from the left-hand side. Now Josh Daniels with that black and white bandage wrapped tight around his forehead to stop the bleeding from an earlier challenge. Gustafsson in the midfield into his twin brother. And a shot into the side netting. What a strike, what a goal that would have been from Amar Leone on his debut here for Häcken. They may well have lost Bene Traore to Sheffield United, but they're hoping that this replacement in Leone is going to be the man to take on the goal-scoring mantle. And that was a stunning strike in the end. Hit it so sweetly. That was a touch of class, and he was so close.
All shades of a certain Ibrahimovic there. He's certainly got the hairstyle to match. He's got height, so he can really control the ball and generate that power. That's exactly what he did.
Substitution here for the New Saints. Dick McManus goes off, Ryan Brobble comes on.
Not a surprise.
Are you surprised by that, or do you think
all.
This is more of a kind of defensive position in trying to get another... More, yes, Brobble can play forwards, but he can maybe do more defensive work than what McManus would have done.
I feel that McManus has struggled the last 10 minutes or so. We saw when TNS had that counter-attack that McManus he's run his socks off, and I think he's just fatigued.
So the change has been made, and number one here for the home team. And off goes, and they'll be really glad of this. Sadiq goes off. He scored the opening goal in this game after just 7 minutes. He's a real talent. He could be another rising star in Swedish football. And he is replaced here by Kamara.
It's a good business model to have, isn't it? Having the academies in Central African countries. The talent there is, well, rich. And as we've seen with the
break off, here's Gustafsson. Is he brought down by Redmond? No. Appeals from the sea of black and yellow around us here as they're getting anxious for home supporters. The New Saints are getting a few decisions going their way. 8 minutes of the 90 to go as our Damon Hill lookalike makes another move past the commentary box. It's an absolute spitting image.
He is. He could make a good income
With
from
his
that.
fingers, we can say, because he probably hasn't got a clue who we're talking about.
Oh, he'd know who Damon Hill is,
I'm
surely.
sure he probably does.
He's of a certain age.
Free kick, though, for the New Saints. Scott Harris and Nick Southall here. BBC Radio Shropshire. Full reaction on the breakfast show tomorrow morning on BBC Radio Wales as well. As they just wait for the referee to allow this free kick to be taken. It's a raking ball. Falls for Astles. Lays it back to Daniels. It's a heavy pass by him. The chance may have gone here, and Daniels kept the ball in. He crossed it in as well, but it was away from everybody.
Disappointing that from Daniels, because you just want someone to drill the ball at almost shoulder height.
Trouble here for Redmond. The referee gives a free kick against him straight away there. And it was a late challenge, a yellow card as well for Danny Redmond.
Yeah, I don't think he could have escaped that card. If anything, it was just a fine margin away from perhaps being worse. But yeah, Daniels just a few moments ago decided to loft the ball high towards the crossbar, and no one was the other side as it went to the other side of the goal area, the 6-yard box. No one was ready to pounce on it. You just feel sometimes, Nick, that if you just get that ball at shoulder height at some speed, it could ricochet off anywhere, and more often than not into the back of the net.
Well, TNS were 2-0 down early on in this game. Got a goal back through Deck McManus after 31 minutes, then conceded a third. And in this second half, they haven't conceded at all. It's been much more of an even contest. Yes, the Häcken still have looked more threatening in front of goal, but TNS have done their defensive duties very well indeed. And if they can go back to Park Hall just 2 goals behind, their record back in Oswestry is very good indeed, and so they may well fancy their chances. Another goal would certainly make their trip here to this seaport city of Gothenburg very worthwhile indeed. The sun is setting away to our left. It's a wonderful sight, breaking through the marbled coloured clouds just floating by. These gigantic concrete structures, the floodlights in the corners are illuminating the arena in front of us. It's a very nice stadium indeed as Pask kicks it long towards Daniels, wins his header up against Tabo again as well. You'd just like them to have one more chance, wouldn't you?
It's almost unfortunate, isn't it, that the away goals rule was scrapped, because it would have been very useful indeed to have got that away goal, but as he's no more. But you look at face value, you look at that third goal, as controversial as we feel that it was, you know, you look at the scoreline, as there's a break off here, there's a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance again, because they've left themselves exposed. Here's Leo Smith, he's had a good game, out to Daniels. Daniels into the box, back to Leo Smith. Good initial touch by him, but they haven't got a lot of support. Daniels crosses, 2 waiting. Oh, and was there contact there on the TNS man? They don't appeal for a penalty. But he fell awkwardly on that far post. It was a lovely ball swung in. I think it was Holden that got himself onto the back post there, and what a chance that would have been. He wasn't another yard backwards, and he would have had a free header at the far post.
Yeah, he's just overstretched, wasn't he, Holden? And again, not the tallest of frontmen. Well, I say that, I'd probably say he's still, well, maybe just under 6 foot. Certainly not as tall as the Swedes.
Here come Häcken, problems at the other end, and it's going to be a goal kick. They've done really well, really well. This has been a brilliant second half from Craig Harrison's team. Yes, they trail by 3 goals to 1, but be under no doubt the Swedish champions are very good, and TNS are playing excellently. If only we could replay that opening 12 minutes, this could be a very different tie.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we said, didn't we, before kick-off, that it was crucial, that opening 10 minutes, to keep it tight. And you look at the likes of Josh Pask and Ryan Astles at the back, they've certainly kept it tighter in the second half, and they will feel that they've let themselves down maybe in that opening period of the game. But at 3-1, if it stays the same, there will be some comfort in how they have battled into this 2-legged tie, and it will only be half time in the tie, remember, come 90 minutes.
They've got a chance here, they've got a free kick, and you can see how nervous the Häcken manager looks here as Harriet threads it down the channel. Robble, will he get a corner? He's kept it in play. Holden goes down. No, it looked like a dive, and probably was a dive. And the referee did very well. He's been a good referee here, Henrik Nalbandian. Did have that VAR incident from the free kick, which it was judged that Hovland had scored, but all he can do as an on-field referee is then, if there's doubt, you go to VAR and they make their decision. There will be VAR at Park Hall next week.
Well, you had a better angle, you would feel, than what we had. We had just one replay, and it looked to me that there wasn't contact, but the alternative reverse angle obviously was the difference.
work again by Josh Daniels, winning the loose ball on the edge of the penalty area. And that's what they've been much better at, is reading the pace and the movement of Häcken. They've anticipated much better, whereas straight from the off, they were hit straight away between the eyes, with the width on the right, on the left, crosses raining in, the pace between the midfield and defenders, and they were just really kind of overawed by what was happening. Still work to do though. Cross into the back post, and Roberts was languishing on his line. No contact. It was an excellent ball by Lund, but there was no contact on its way through, and now's a big chance for Kamara. But he couldn't get his foot onto the ball.
Yeah, another chance goes a begging for the home side as the fourth official waves the board. 8 added on minutes, so an absolute lifetime for TNS to sit through.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's good news for TNS.
No, it certainly isn't, and I think they would, well, bite your arm off if you was to hand them 3-1 at full time now.
Yeah, they'd really take this scoreline if you offered it to them now. They're under pressure. Here's Rijkaard, the composer in that midfield. He really makes the Häcken team tick.
I mean, I'm not a betting man, Nick, but if you was to say at half-time it was going to stay 3-1 at full-time, I probably would have lost a vast sum of money, but here we are.
I'm sure you did say that, and no, we won't go. Here's Tabo. There's options to his right, 20 yards away from goal. Gustafsson chips it over the top. Here's Kamara. Rijkaard waiting in the centre. TNS clear, but there is Leone once again. He is a bit of a Ibrahimovic look-alike. His movements are very similar as well. Same hairstyle. He's waiting for the ball here, appealing for handball, but nothing that the TNS man could do. It was Danny Redmond, I think, there, who's on a yellow card, but he was struck at him from close range. It will go behind for a corner, though. We are into stoppage time here in Gothenburg, where Häcken lead the New Saints by 3-1. The winners of this tie are likely to go to Budapest in a couple of weeks' time for the first leg to take on the Hungarian champions, Ferencváros. In swinging corner, great save by Roberts, bullet header from that near post, utilising the pace from the corner from Rijkaard, and Roberts keeps his team from conceding a fourth.
Phenomenal save from the goalkeeper Connor Roberts, rooted to the goal line, saw it late but parried it clear from close range. Superb goalkeeping.
Oh, the reactions there from Roberts were brilliant.
Instinctive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From Roberts, who's had a really good game, I feel.
Another corner though. As Rijkaard floats it higher this time. Back post, headed away by Davies. Robble puts pressure on the defender Lund, who sweeps it out to Gustafsson, who dropped deeper. And now here goes Gustafsson on a weaving run. Look for Tabo. And Tabo, who's come on as a centre half, he's playing more as a centre forward at the moment. That's what Häcken are doing. They are desperate to get another goal and won't be content with the scoreline as it is.
Very strange decision, wasn't it, to take off your centre half from the manager. I mean, I'm not quite sure what he was thinking, because you unsettle that back line and you get this, just a little bit of confusion. Yes, they're very good at keeping the ball and almost upcycling the ball back into those attacking areas, but defensively they've looked so frail. And I think if that's anything you can take from this second half in particular, is that, you know, Häcken are there to be taken apart, and you just need the right combo going forward to do that. And I think TNS do have that in their locker, and there's plenty of food for thought for Craig Harrison going into the second leg in 6 days' time.
Yeah, and we'll bring you Craig Harrison's post-match interview after tonight's game. Full reaction on the breakfast show tomorrow morning as well here from Gothenburg. Reaction on BBC Radio Wales too. As Gustafsson switches the ball out to Leone. Leone crosses, big chance. And he didn't fall for Rijkaard. It was a good header clear by Leo Smith. There have been some excellent individual performances. Kamara's urged to shoot, but he doesn't take it on. Instead, he opted for the simpler chance of passing it out to Gustafsson. But again, TNS defend very well. We only have a couple of minutes left to go here. And can the New Saints hold on? Here's Tabo. Plays it out to Hovland. He's judged to have got a touch onto the third goal. Controversial goal, though, which we'll talk about after tonight's game. He goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, Sonko, a good player, good with the ball at his feet, good dribbler of the ball, but just that final pass to set up a colleague who's made a run just isn't there, and that's certainly a worry, isn't it, for them? But the new man, Leone, certainly looks like the real deal, and I was interrupted by a good passage of play when I was talking about the likes of Benny Traore moving on. They seem to have this business model, Nick, here of generating young talent, certainly from the Central African continent, and capitalise on cashing in and moving them on to bigger leagues like the Premier League, and then you can use that money to do it all over again and generate that wealth to compete. And that's probably the secret of their success as to why they have been able to compete with such big players in the Swedish league.
Samo gets a corner. Good sliding block on this near side.
Body on the lines, that's exactly what you need to do, isn't it, at this stage of the game? You cannot afford to concede a goal, not at this stage.
Here's Gustafsson, and they were asleep there, but it's cleared by Holden on the penalty spot. Their keeper, Peter Abrahamsson, comes forwards and passes it into Lund, who's really the only defender back here. Now Gustafsson's popped up in room. Tabo! Another brilliant save from Conor Roberts. Still inside there though. Big moment now in this tie. Tabo again! On a deflection over the bar. And maybe another save by Conor Roberts. Boy, he's keeping TNS in this European qualifier in the Champions League.
5 or 6 really good saves. Excellent saves from the goalkeeper. Conor Roberts. He's really kept the score down single-handedly here.
Corners into the back post, and the header again for Häcken goes wide though, and it was Hovland. Another opportunity for them. How many chances have we had in this game? If only every football game was like this.
For the level of anxiety, we've been stood up for the last 15 minutes in our commentary position. We had comfortable seats to start with. We just can't sit still. An unbelievable finish for Conor Roberts. I mean, you know, he's come in, he's almost been the understudy, wasn't he, with Paul Harrison, who was here for so long. Came in 2018, an Everton youth player, spells at Fulham, Cheltenham, Chester, Bangor, Aberystwyth on loan. He had that loan spell, but he's gelled into this championship winning side of TNS, and Conor Roberts has, well, as we said, single-handedly kept TNS in this tie. Still 3-1.
Still 3-1. But you wouldn't rule out another goal, because the Swedes have the bit between their teeth now. Here's Rijkaard out to Lund again. It's on the edge of the area. It's another ball into the back post towards Leone. It's over his head and Daniels clears. TNS will be very happy to be going back to Oswestry with just a 2-goal deficit. They are very much in this tie. Aberdeen did it last year and it's full time. It's ended. BK Häcken 3, the New Saints 1, but TNS were 2-0 down after just 12 minutes, and they had chances maybe to have even been level in this game at 3-3. It was quite a turnaround when all the odds were against them after just 12 minutes in this European qualifier. But a wonderful response, and Craig Harrison will be very proud.
Well, Craig Harrison has just disappeared down the tunnel. He went to shake hands with his opposite number and he wasn't there. And the manager is on the halfway line. Now, eventually, Craig Harrison shakes his hands with the manager there, Per Mathias Holmo. but Craig Harrison will be somewhat uplifted by the final 70 minutes of that performance. The opening 20 was a little bit sketchy. It was such a slow, sluggish start. We expected Häcken to come out the blocks at some speed. They have that pace in the wide areas and also down the middle. TNS were undone by that, but they have grown into this game. They've grown into the tie, and as it is, they will head back to Osler Street with just a 2-goal deficit. They will have to try and square early doors on Tuesday to fully get themselves back into it. I think a moment of magic from Declan McManus, the highlight for TNS, Nick, and he might feel that he perhaps should have had 1 or 2 more with the chances that he had. Will be a fitness concern after running his socks off for large parts of the game and just not being able to finish it. Josh Daniels, I'm sure he'll be okay to continue, but be it a little bit bruised, taking that blow to the face. But I think if you were a BK Häcken fan, you would probably be very disappointed, actually, given the amount of possession. It's only 3-1.
I think they look a bit deflated, actually, watching them go over to the supporters away to our left-hand side, and they're applauding them, and the home fans probably will think, what could have been?
They'll have been disappointed to have conceded, and Hogmo will be confused almost as to how they conceded. But 3-1 is still a healthy lead. It certainly puts the ball in the court of TNS. They've really got to start well at Park Hall next Tuesday to move forward and try and get themselves back into it. It is almost the next goal is key in this tie, and TNS have to score first just to make it interesting. But you do look at the strength in depth. You look at the new man, Leone, who came on. He looks like the real deal. He's the Ibrahimovic look-alike and almost striker-like. The way he struck the ball, it hit the side netting. Häcken certainly had chances to extend their lead and perhaps should have had a few more. In terms of a man of the match, it's got to only be one person, Nick, surely. Connor Roberts. He has single-handedly kept TNS in the tie. I mean, Josh Pass did very well. Defensively, as we mentioned, they grew into the game, certainly in the second half. And, I said at half-time, I'd absolutely stunned if it stayed 3-1. It has, and that's credit to TNS.
It is. The New Saints have left the arena, or the pitch anyway, and BK Häcken, their fans, are still in here and still celebrating with their players. Let's take you back to the 7th minute in this game here in Gothenburg, because Ibrahim Sadiq struck first for BK Häcken. His second time of asking, his first shot at the near post, saved by Connor Roberts. Unfortunately, with where the rebound landed, and he scored at the near post. Then Häcken got their second, a cross in from the left wing, Mikael Rygaard poking it in from close range in the centre. But then the New Saints recovered brilliantly. They got their act together, and Danny Redmond could have got a goal back after 28 minutes. A deflected shot by him on the edge of the area, well saved by the Häcken keeper. But they did get the goal that they deserved just after half an hour in this game. Jordan Williams breaking down the left. We said that they looked a bit weak in defence, Häcken, and it proved to be so. It's a lovely cross from Williams, and Dec McManus, the leading scorer in the Cymru Premier last season, with a lovely header into the bottom right-hand corner. But that goal back and that positivity didn't last long, because they went and scored again. Häcken, free kick, 8 minutes before half-time. But it was controversial because it was taken by Gustafsson, and it looked like to us anyway that there may not have been a touch on it, and that's what TNS appealed for. It went to VAR, the goal was given and judged that Hovland had got a touch onto the ball. And as Scott was saying on commentary, in that half-time interval, if anybody said there would be no more goals in this game, we probably would have laughed at them, but there wasn't, and that's because the game management from the New Saints was so much better, and they held on, and so they've lost this first tie by 3-1, but it's only a 2-goal deficit, and this tie very much alive, Mary Kate, going back to Osler Street next week.
Yeah, it sounds very much like it's all to play for still. We'll be back with the team in Oswestry very, very shortly to get some more reaction to tonight's result, where BK Häcken have beaten the New Saints 3-1. But like Nick says, it's only the first leg. They've got to go back to Oswestry next Tuesday. Of course, we're going to have all the build-up, all the pre-match build-up to that game, and of course, the commentary of that one. Well, let's go straight back to Gothenburg to get the thoughts of our commentary team tonight. Nick Southall and Scott Harris, both of you. Well, what a second half. They'll be a lot happier with that, surely.
Yeah, a lot happier that it was a lot quieter, because what they did do, they just managed the game much better. They slowed the game down when they could. They had a very strict referee who wouldn't let them try and do that, but I think they got away with as much as they could. I don't think they were being overly bad at time wasting anyway. I just thought that the game management was exceptional from them, and they defended really well. They were reading the kind of movement from Häcken, which had lost a bit of its potency from that first half, but you would expect that. But I thought it was a tremendous second half for them. I think, for 2/3 of this game, they played very well. The problem was that they gave themselves an uphill challenge after just 12 minutes.
Well, going into that second leg, I know the New Saints last season, they won every single league home game, so they've got to be full of confidence going back to Park Hall next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge, isn't it? And, the opening 20 minutes proved to be the case, and I think that the fact that TNS did eventually find a way to frustrate Häcken is positive. It made them find solutions to problems that TNS, they could block runners in the end and make a general nuisance of themselves. And importantly, they carved out that one chance that led to the goal. They didn't have too many chances of their own, TNS. That's something they'll want to work on, because when they do go back to Park Hall next Tuesday, TNS need to, from the get-go, have that confidence to do almost the same as what Häcken have done here. And we're not entirely sure how well Häcken will travel. There'll be nerves jangling, as we mentioned at the start of this game, because they're in the Champions League for the first time. They will have pressure to go away from home and get a result. And I think TNS have shown in the past that they've managed to claw their way back into matches before. We mentioned Skender a number of times because it was such a memorable tie back in, was it 2017, 2018? So it's proven in the history books that TNS do very well at Park Hall. They will need to play the game of their lives on Tuesday to get it back, but I can't not see them doing it in some respects, because I've seen enough in the second half to almost cancel out what we saw in the opening 20 minutes, and I'm sure Craig Harrison will have that in check certainly over the next 6 days before the return leg. But it will, if it's anything like the game we've witnessed here this evening, it's going to be quite an exciting evening of football next Tuesday night at Park Hall.
Well, BK Häcken, they won't have that raucous support that they've had tonight. We've heard it all night. Their fans haven't stopped at all. Just finally, they seem to learn quickly from the first half to the second half what Häcken could expose them in. They will learn a lot more come Tuesday next week. And what do you think Craig Harrison will take from this?
Well, I think he'll have those positive inclines that they've managed to climb their way back into it after, Nick Southall mentioned in commentary that it was looking like a cricket score after 12 minutes with two very soft goals. Connor Roberts, huge confidence, surely, as a result of that display. Again, just looking at the players who came on as well, there's lots of talent in that TNS squad. Josh Pask in the back line, he did very, very well. He just grew into the game. Josh Daniels putting his body on the line literally with that blow to the face. And Declan McManus as well, not only with the finish, with the goal, but also, this was a player who got back deep when he needed to. He almost formed a back line of 6 when TNS really had difficulties in getting possession and clearing their lines, because Häcken was so good at recycling the ball and just bringing it back into those dangerous wide areas. The likes of Sadiq, and I mean Sandberg as well, Fredriksson, a real handful. So, you know, Gustafsson, the Gustafsson twins, they were very good at keeping the ball and just pinging the ball around this very fast surface. It'll be interesting to see just how fast the surface is at Park Hall next Tuesday, because I don't think it's this fast. So I think that will take them some use to. It's easier, isn't it, to have a faster surface to play on. All of a sudden, when the speed has gone, then that changes things to quite some degree. So TNS very much in this tie, even if it's finished 3-1. I think they probably thought it could have been more at half time.
Oh, thank you very much, Scott, and to Nick Southall, your commentary team for tonight's Champions League game, where it's finished BK Häcken 3, the New Saints 1. But like they've said, it is only half time in the tie. They have got the next game coming up next Tuesday. Of course, we'll have all the build-up and full match commentary of that game next week. Häcken went 2-0 up inside 15 minutes tonight, so it's a good result there for TNS to keep that scoreline and get a goal back through Declan McManus. So of course, follow us on Twitter at BBC Shrop Sport and at BBC Wales. They've all got all the commentary and all the build up to both games, as well as the reaction. The team are just off to go and speak to Craig Harrison, so we'll be bringing you that interview as well, so stick around and listen to Craig Harrison. We'll be bringing you that between now and 10 o'clock, where I'm still going to be with you till 10. We've got a little bit of music and a little bit more sport, a bit more different sport, and a bit of everything between now and 10 o'clock. So make sure that you don't go anywhere. Let's have a bit of Jess Glynn to get into the spirit now. We've had a good game of football. Let's get some more sport, some more music. It's Jess Glynn. Now here tonight we've brought you commentary of TNS's game against BK Häcken. Well, we've had some post-match reaction from their manager, Per Mathias Hogmo, who played BK Häcken have played their first Champions League game ever tonight, beating TNS 3-1 at home. And this is what their manager had to say after the game.
Congratulations on your win tonight. Certainly after 12 minutes, you must have been very happy. What's your feelings now?
Well, we are winning 3-1 against a hard-working team. We created a lot of chances. Of course, you could love to have some more goals, but really good goalkeepers saved them. So I'm pleased with the performance. Especially in the first half, we played really directly. In the second half, they were dropping down, but still then we created chances.
We look back at Europe last year against Aberdeen, and you won here 2-0, and then we know what happened after that. What's it like having a 2-goal cushion going to the away leg?
That was important for us. If you look at the result now, in all the games, it's really tight. It's one win or draw, or international football get really, really tight. All the teams are well organized. So it's important to be patient, to be concentrated, and dealing with this different part of the game. And in that aspect, I think we have the game today bring us into a good situation before the next game.
You've had success in Europe in the past. You managed to get through with Rosenborg a few years ago now, and you know what it's like. You've got a bit between your teeth, especially at Häcken here. This is quite a project you've got. It's going really well.
Yes, it's been working since we had this tough year when I came here, and we were in the bottom of the league, and we gave up in a safe place and started to develop this way of playing, offensive 4-3-3. And of course we were winning the league and take the double this season. And we go on work every day to try to do some small details better, and then to improve our way of playing. A lot of good players. And what make me happy is to see the way individual and the team are developing from week to week.
And finally, of course, lots of talk back in the UK about Benny Traore. I don't know what you can say on that situation, if you can say anything at all.
Oh, there, of course, it will always be a lot of speculation when we do it well about our players. And what you can say is that he have a really tough family situation. So we went home to Africa for 1 week ago and came back last night. So that's why he didn't play today. So let's see what's happened. But he trained on the training ground this morning.
But you've got a really good squad here, haven't you? You've got some very talented youngsters as well.
Yes, it's a good combination with young players and players with routine from international football. For me, I like to develop young players, and the way I see them coming into the team now. And today also we had Lioni coming from Vålerenga, who's been in Egypt and in Sydney, and he performed really good. His first game, only one training, and that's a good signing for us. So as you said, we have an interesting squad and an interesting team which love to play football together. Offensive Häcken football.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's BK Häcken manager Per Matthews Hogmo speaking to BBC Radio Shropshire's Nick Southall following their victory over the New Saints this evening in the Champions League. That's BK Häcken's first ever Champions League game. But it's not all over for TNS, as they got the second leg coming up next Tuesday, which of course we'll bring you full commentary of. We'll be hearing from the New Saints manager Craig Harrison very, very shortly, so stick with us for that. Now it's time for the 1975 and Looking for Somebody to Love. We're bringing you all the post-match, from tonight's Champions League game between TNS and BK Häcken. And now we can bring you the post-match thoughts of their manager, Craig Harrison.
Craig, how do you sum up that night?
Tough, really tough. We knew they were a good team and watched a lot of footage to them, but I think me seeing them live on Saturday, the intensity, and I think the three midfield boys were very, very good players, and they've got good subs to bring on as well, but our lads is resilience. Second half's a great performance. We went behind 2-0 really early on. We could have crumbled, we could have went under, and then we've replied by scoring a really good goal. It's a fantastic goal, having one or two half opportunities after that. And then they score straight away, within minutes of us scoring to make it 2-1. Maybe if we could have got the interval at 2-1 and then put that performance up again in the second half and then we'll go 2-1, then it's, 1 goal deficit would have been an unbelievable result for us, because let's not kid ourselves, they're very, very good players. They're full internationals, full of top players. And the lads in midfield are very, very good.
Are they as good a team as you've come up against?
I think the three midfield are the best I've seen. At sort of with TNS being involved in European football, you look at the history of them. One of the Gustafssons went to Feyenoord for nearly £2 million. The other one played in Serie A for Torino. They are very, very good. So you've got to give credit where credit's due. Like I said, it was quite easy to fold, and it could have been 5 at half time, and we're thinking, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a really, really tough night. But the lads deserve all the credit in the world. We've talked about it quite a bit this pre-season, we're trying to build, and we've had blocks and we've put bodies on the line, and they've run. We look fit, we look strong, and I can't praise the boys as a group. Not just the 11, the substitutes that come on, the substitutes that didn't come on and supported the lads. In as crazy as it sounds, we're still in the game.
Yeah. Well, Aberdeen lost here 2-0 last year in Europe, went on to win back at home and went through. Do you take heart from that?
Yeah, I think you do. You've got to, because I think maybe if they had went 4-1, it probably would have been a bridge too far, and it probably would have been game over. But 3-1, and we get another opportunity. We score first at home at Park Hall, and and it might be game on. We don't know how well they travel in the season, and they're playing. They've got another game at the weekend. They played last weekend. Can that fatigue set in? I don't know, but look, on the night they were every bit as good as what we thought they were. But I think our lads done fantastic.
What about their third goal? What did you make of that?
Yeah, I've seen it back, but the camera angle's not great. We were convinced he was offside. convinced he was offside, especially when they announced that number 5, Hovland, scored it. So he's obviously clearly got a touch on it and he was offside, but the camera angle's not great. He looks offside. They went to VAR. They didn't give it, but I don't think the camera angles from VAR is a great angle to give it. Look, you see VAR on the Premier League and Champions League, further rounds, and they've got 100 cameras on the ground, and you see from every angle, and they're putting lines on TVs, and but I think it was very harsh because I thought it was offside.
The new Saints manager Craig Harrison there with Nick Southall out in Gothenburg as they're reacting to TNS's defeat tonight to BK Häcken as they went down 3-1. But it's only the first leg, and they've got to go back to TNS next Tuesday night, where we'll be bringing you all the build-up and the full match commentary. Bit more VAR drama as well. Well, hopefully not in the home leg, but TNS have got to get equipped for the VAR, so that'll be interesting as well to see that in action at Parkwell. I'm interested to get down there and see how that'll be working down there next week. But let's play a little bit of more music, a bit of Dermot Kennedy for you now. Now tonight we've had all the match reaction and of course the full match commentary of BK Häcken versus TNS in the Champions League first qualifying round. Well, now we've got the thoughts of manager Craig Harrison when he spoke to our commentator Nick Southall.
Craig, how do you sum up that night?
Tough, really tough. We knew they were a good team and watched a lot of footage to them, but I think me seeing them live on Saturday, the intensity, and I think the 3 midfield boys were very, very good players, and they've got good subs to bring on as well, but our lads' resilience. Second half's a great performance. We've went behind 2-0 really early on. We could have crumbled, we could have went under, and then we've replied by scoring a really good goal. It's a fantastic goal, having 1 or 2 half opportunities after that. And then they score straight away, within minutes of us scoring to make it 2-1. Maybe if we could have got the interval at 2-1 and then put that performance up again in the second half and then we'll go 2-1, then it's 1 goal deficit would have been an unbelievable result for us, because let's not kid ourselves, they're very, very good players. They're full internationals, full of top players. And the lads in midfield are very, very good.
Are they as good a team as you've come up against?
I think the 3 midfield are the best I've seen. At sort of with TNS being involved in European football, you look at the history of them. One of the Gustafssons went to Feyenoord for nearly £2 million. The other one played in Serie A for Torino. They are very, very good. So you've got to give credit where credit's due. Like I said, it was quite easy to fold, and it could have been 5 at half time, and we're thinking, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a really, really tough night. But the lads deserve all the credit in the world. We've talked about it quite a bit this season, this pre-season, trying to build a bit of robustness and a bit of digging deep. And we've played 3 games in Ireland in 3 days. We've travelled from Scotland to Cardiff within 2 days. And I think the last 10-15 minutes probably come to fruition with that. The lads dug in. Connor's made a couple of great saves, and we've had blocks and we've put bodies on the line, and they've run. We look fit, we look strong, and I can't praise the boys as a group, not just the 11, the substitutes that come on, the substitutes that didn't come on and supported the lads. And as crazy as it sounds, we're still in the game.
Yeah. Well, Aberdeen lost here 2-0 last year in Europe, went on to win back at home and went through. Do you take heart from that?
Yeah, I think you do. You've got to, because I think maybe if they had went 4-1, it probably would have been a bridge too far, and it probably would have been game over. But 3-1, and we get another opportunity. We score first at home at Park Hall, and and it might be game on. We don't know how well they travel in the season, and they're playing. They've got another game at the weekend. They played last weekend. Can that fatigue set in? I don't know, but look, on the night they were every bit as good as what we thought they were. But I think our lads done fantastic.
What about their third goal? What did you make of that?
Yeah, I've seen it back, but the camera angle's not great. We were convinced he was offside. Especially when they announced that number 5, Hovland, scored it. So he's obviously clearly got a touch on it, and he was offside, but the camera angle's not great. He looks offside. They went to VAR. They didn't give it, but I don't think the camera angles from VAR is a great angle to give it. Look, you see VAR on the Premier League and Champions League, further rounds, and they've got 100 cameras on the ground and you see from every angle, and they're putting lines on TVs, and but I think it was very harsh because I thought it was offside.
The new Saints manager there, Craig Harrison, reacting to their defeat tonight to BK Häcken in the first qualifying round of the Champions League. But it is only the end of the first leg. They do have to come back to Oswestry next Tuesday night. We'll have full commentary and build-up of that game, of course, here on BBC Radio Shropshire, as well as online on your smart speaker, DAB, FM. We are absolutely everywhere with that game, so make sure you are listening in to that. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight here on BBC Radio Shropshire. We've been bringing you all the commentary of TNS's game against BK Häcken. We'll be back with you next Tuesday night as TNS look to overturn the 2-goal deficit. Can they do it? Well, we'll find out next Tuesday night here on BBC Radio Shropshire. Have a lovely evening.